thinking that that's where the push is going to be coming from. But TSM quietly work their way back over towards A. You see Profi has the Rolling Thunder. Keep a close eye on that. You imagine he's going to want to hold it. As you see the Rays start to go forward, there's information. Guys, nobody's home. This is not the play anymore. We've got to rotate out.
Oh, there's the red carpet for TSM. Or sorry, for Moon Raccoons. They're answering back. A paranoia to stop the push early. Profi leads the charge with the stinger, but look at the flank from Alexander. He's going to be coming in from behind, and he's slow moving over there. TSM, if they decide to double back, they may go towards that mid presence, but they're going to wrap all the way around. But some of those members are going to be dropping down. Guess who's there? Oh, Sabrosa! The jumping shot works. Takes down Alexander, and Moon Raccoons are running to answer. Profi loses the battle to Hayes, and the A site is wide open. What a crazy little round, and TSM come out on top.
Yeah, the thing really just kind of fell apart on Moon Raccoons at the end there. They had the read on them, right? Like they could hear TSM rotating through spawn, but Sabrosa dropping down into sewers, giving, I believe it was Alexander, the business, really just kind of opened things up for TSM. At that point, there was no more information for Moon Raccoons on whether or not they were going to be rotating back towards A or if they were sticking to their initial B commit. Profi was also still on A, but he was by himself, right? So TSM are able to get that kill after starting to rotate. They think, well, there's no way they're going to know if we're coming back. They pivot back towards A, get that last kill from Moon Raccoons on the A site, and then, as you said, the rest is history. They were able to take the site, get the spike down, and easy going for Team Solo mid. They're going to bridge the gap down to 1. It's a lead for Moon Raccoons, but a slight one nonetheless.
Saving those weapons for Moon Raccoons is probably the ideal scenario. 2v5 retake, especially on split, is not something that you can easily scoff at. And look at the economy. Moon Raccoons in a tough spot. This might be the equalizer for TSM. If they run back that A play, it seems to be a little bit more efficient than the B hits. Those B hits end up getting down to the 1v1, the 2v2. So this might be a good idea. Profi will have to pay attention to where he ends up the Bucky, looking for some of that close action. And a very interesting setup for Moon Raccoons, giving up that heaven control, playing on the site. We'll see if it pays off for them as TSM giving up some of their own mid presence and just going to wait this A push out.
Creep their way forward. The spike certainly in that area. Also worth noting that TSM does have the Omen ult. So if things get dicey, they could rotate away, but I love this from them. They're going to use the Rolling Thunder on B, and immediately, like clockwork, you see members from Roman Raccoon start to rotate, but TSM gives up the cues. Alexander with a huge two-piece. He's going to get traded out, however. His Fiend drops. Temperature still on the site, anchoring things down, holding them at bay. TSM has fallen apart on this round as Moon Raccoons hold fast.
I wish I could see the perspective there from Alexander. Spike picked up, shot's going to be good onto Temperature, but they know that he's playing towards Hell, so he's going to smoke off screens and only focus on the Heaven push. We've got a player coming in from the top side as well. Cutler's going to take him down, so already this is being equalized by TSM just because of the raw weapon advantage that they have. Alexander only had the Showstopper and a Sheriff. He doesn't have much else to work with. Spike going down, and it's the 2v2 retake. How will Moon Raccoons fight this off?
Looks like they're going to be pushing in from a couple of different fronts. Rebo's going to get onto the site, but it's actually Alexander with the 3K on the Sheriff. Rebo spots the last one. He only has 4 bullets, but it does not matter. Alexander makes that Sheriff sing. Cutler drops. Moon Raccoons are going to be able to defuse the spike and take a 2-round lead here in the opening half.
That's a great win for Moon Raccoons as well. It almost really fell apart there. 2v2, especially with Wardell on the op and then Cutler in a Hell position underneath Heaven. It's tough. It is very, very tough. And the fact that Rebo pushes the smoke, gets into a position on the outside of it, you have to anticipate that there's a player playing in Hell that he can't see that push out. So Alexander works with him to get that info, get that damage done, and now Moon Raccoons regain their lead and regain their economy because it was falling apart. Wardell still going to be purchasing the op this round, armor on no, without armor, however. So he's going to have to make sure that those shots land in the mid push that TSM are preparing.
That camera early on from Rebo, at least for now, is not going to be getting any info as the smoke keeps things at bay. If they were to push through the smoke, obviously they would be exposed, but for now, TSM waiting patiently on the other side. Rebo playing a bit off, kind of giving up a good bit of room here. And you see Moon Raccoons is doing the exact same thing around A. There's no presence. They're starting to rotate off of it, actually. The only person that was there, Temperature, is making his way towards B.
This is a very interesting play from Moon Raccoons because you have to think about Rebo's position, right? He's playing ropes. He's been playing the B side anchor the entire time. So the fact that they get tripwired, that there's a camera there, they're like, what is going on? When is this guy ever playing here? And now the battle comes through. Color's going to lose it. Wardell wins the battle, pushing up. But now TSM has a little bit more control. Drone really being the hero here as he pushes in towards Heaven. And now Moon Raccoons are a little bit split up. A player coming from the defender spawn, one in B main, and Rebo still holding down the ropes here. TSM are going to hit this B side fast.
Run it back. It's going to create some room and get some info. As they get onto the site, you see Fiend has that operator, making sure nobody's going to be flanking around from behind. Oh, Temperature. Oh, Temperature. He was able to get one. Hayes sniffs it out and takes care of him. TSM just down to 1. The spike has not been planted yet. Hayes gets cleaned up at the hands of Rebo, up from Heaven. Moon Raccoons win another one. And I just very quickly want to point something out. When Cutler went aggressive into ropes to challenge Rebo, you saw him drop the spike before doing that, which was really smart. It left TSM in a position where they can still rotate over to the spike and it not be in a terrible spot like we saw a number of times on Haven. So it's a minor thing, but that really allowed TSM to play the rest of the round from a position that still had options.
This will be the round that really breaks the straw on the camel's back. TSM forcing up here. You lose this one, you're put in a position where Moon Raccoons are up by 4. We also have to continue to identify, split being defender-sided. TSM have already done a lot of work to get 2 rounds, and now they're going to look to continue to do that same work. Sabrosa, Alexander somehow! What? How did he do that? Was that paint shells? Was that a blast pack? What was that? A flawless round for Moon Raccoons. We didn't get to see that perspective. But I thought for sure, for some reason, that Showstopper was the one that found 2. But Sabrosa gonna lose that ultimate, and Alexander 14-3. What a crispy start here to split.
Yeah, crispy is certainly one word to use for Alexander, and the Showstopper that was not available before, the common culprit when it comes to big multi-kills at the hands of Raze, now is going to be online, and now is going to be a factor. So keep a close eye on that. Additionally, for Rebo, 1 point away from getting that neural theft. We'll see if they try to do something early on to play for that orb control. At least that's not the case so far.
I'm not gonna lie, this TSM mid presence has been so effective for them, and especially gaining this B Heaven control. So I'm glad that they're doubling back to it. But I like the setup from Moon Raccoons. Supporting the anchor. Guess who's there on the opposite side? It's Profi. Oh, sees one. Throw the paint shell. Here comes Alexander. There it goes. Yeet. It goes in. But doesn't find anybody. Aftershock's going to be a problem. But still, they've been flashed out. Utility just continues to funnel through, and nobody has been taken down for TSM. Wardell just needs to hold the angle. But here comes the engagement. Alexander dies, moving up through the ropes. And so does Profi. They tried to hold the line, but now this is TSM's site to take.
It is. Moon Raccoons just down to 2 members left. They're going to be rotating over from A, where they were playing previously. You imagine Fiend going to bring that operator in a 2v5. Yeah, I like heroics and flashy plays just as much as the next person, but this one's difficult. I do think one of the interesting things, oh, golly, they might be going for this thing.
Oh, Temperature. Still survives that. They might be looking for exits. I don't really think TSM is going to walk that way anyways. Smoke goes down. Fiend needed to win that gun duel if they even had a shred of hope winning this round. Shoulder peek from Drone. Works out. They'll double back through B main. TSM now trail by 3. No way. Temperature, you're trolling. You're trolling. Oh, Wardell. You might die to the spike here, but it may have been worth it, at least for the attempt from Moon Raccoon. I appreciate the attempt. It's cheeky for sure, but now it is TSM trailing by 3.
I do think one of the interesting implications of how Wardell played that at the end is he had that operator. You saw him lose it due to the spike. They don't have enough to bring that into this round. So yeah, it was ultimately securing the round for TSM, but a powerful weapon lost as a result of that. Meanwhile, Fiend is going to have one, and he has 7,500 credits still in his back pocket, so he has plenty to work with. TSM trying to play around mid here, but Alexander goes in aggressive. Holy smokes, the showstopper does just that onto Hayes as he's taken out.
Yeah, and they got to hold this B push now. Rebo, it's all down to you. How many members can you stop from TSM? He's getting tagged, he's getting shot. Drone takes him down. And now Temperature trying to spray through that default plant spot there behind the boxes. Flash comes through. 3v4 for Moon Raccoons. The heroics with the showstopper, yeah, it's great. They've lost too many members on this B site, and they have to go for the retake. It's going to be a tough one nonetheless.
Fiend still with that operator. Just in a brutal spot. He's got to check so many angles. He's able to take care of Wardell. The CC was not enough to keep him at bay. And now Fiend can move in a little bit more, as can the rest of Moon Raccoons. It's going to be a 3v3. Fiend gets flashed up. Drone gets 3, and Cutler finishes it off. TSM take the round.
Yeah, it's a tough retake as well. Fiend, great finding Wardell early, but now they pick up the op from Fiend. They hold the line there. This is a very doable half for TSM to just, sit back, and even if they bleed 2 rounds here, it's not a big problem, because once we move on to the second half, it's going to be actually challenging for Moon Raccoons to really push through the rest of this map. So really important that they secure 2 more rounds here, but 8-4 is very, very good for TSM. The better case would obviously be 6-6, and TSM would be very happy with that. So Moon Raccoons, how they play this round out is very important. I like the double peek, the boost. We saw the aggressiveness from Alexander on the A lobby side last round, and this time double duelist peek through B main. They find a pick, and now TSM down to 4.
Right back being used by Drone to get some more room. He's going to be the tip of the spear for TSM as they work their way through ropes. Not being followed up, at least initially, but Drone able to get one. That's a big kill onto Temperature.
They'll trade that double peek. So Broza was the one that fell in exchange for Temperature. Control has been super favorable for them, smoking off screen to give Cutler space to move onto the site. But is he selling this fake? That is the big question. TSM start to push over on towards the B side. We do have Alexander alongside Profi here. The defense hasn't worked out quite well, but now as TSM is doing their homework, pushing onto the site, checking all the angles. Wardell is going to take out Profi. Wall goes up, but Alexander is still back site. They don't know. It's unchecked. 2 kills for Alexander. It's down to the 2v2 as Wardell will nullify that. Spike going down. Double retake for Moon Raccoons.
Oh man, Wardell going down is big there. Cutler's going to be the last one, and the neural theft has been used to give his position away. He's got some CC to try to keep him at bay. Somehow isolates that 1v1 on a Rebo. Cutler goes aggressive, tries to get onto Fiend, but it does not matter. There was not enough time as Fiend gets the defuse. Big win for Moon Raccoons.
For this last round, Moon Raccoons need to execute on that same play that they've been running back. An aggressive peek to A lobby or A main, an aggressive peek to B main. Whatever you got to do, play it cheeky. If you want to close this one out 8-4, by now, TSM have already gotten what they've wanted, right? The worst case scenario would have been a 10-2. But they've been playing this well, and the mid presence has been probably the biggest problem. Moon Raccoons cannot hold the split off to the B site or to the A site. And guess where TSM are again? Mid, because it works, because it's been working. And Moon Raccoons are really struggling to hold it. The retakes have been kind of 50-50. We'll see if Temperature can do a great job this time, as he's one of the first responders there in collaboration with Profi and Alexander on the opposite side in B Heaven.
As much success as TSM has found across the middle of the map, Moon Raccoons still hold a 3-round lead here on the defending side. Now we're seeing him go a bit aggressive, and I think that might have been a bit of like an unfortunate interaction as Profi got pushed back as he was swinging on the Drone. It was just easy picking for him there at that point. You see the Rolling Thunder has been used to clear out B, but nobody's there. Temperature holding down the middle of the map. 2, give him 3. The man is out of control.
One enemy remaining.
This is exactly what Moon Raccoons needed, but guess when they needed this? Like several rounds ago. They needed to fight for mid because TSM were getting it too often. Now, I understand it's difficult to fight for mid on split. It's not easy. I'll give that 100% credit, especially before the changes to split. But Temperature here, he's the hero that Moon Raccoons needed to take this half to at least somewhat favorable stance for Moon Raccoons. Because if you think about it, TSM win this pistol, they win the round after, it's 8-6. They're hot on the tail of the Moon Raccoons, and they're on the favorable side. So Moon Raccoons needed that win, but now here comes the big challenge for them.
They performed admirably on the defensive side. But as you said, now Moon Raccoons with the lead on the attack. What can they do? TSM a bit spread out, giving up mid on the defensive side, and that's exactly where a couple of members of Moon Raccoons are going. The rest of them are going to be splitting through Garage as they have turned their attention over towards B. Members of TSM are starting to rotate over from the defending spawn as they begin to drop onto the site. Subrosa gets punished. He gets hit pretty bad. He's going to have to back off as Alexander and Fiend gate 2 on the site. TSM down to 2.
The last 2 members for TSM are in the back alley. They're going to at least try to find one here with the flames. Oh, the shots are almost crisp. Drone! He's going to find 3. It's a 1v1. The flash comes through. His confidence is oozing all over Split. Last shot's got to be good. And TSM. Turbo dunks just for good measure. TSM will trail by 3.
Holy cow. I mean, at the end of the day, that was just Drone being filthy, right? Like, it's just absolutely insane. He's able to get this early on, force him out. A couple of shots there look rough, but then that snap onto Alexander, that opened things up for Drone. That allowed TSM to get onto the site, isolate things down to a 1v1, and at that point, as you said, the confidence was oozing, and he was able to get that, a 4K on the round. Drone coming up big there for TSM.
And for Moon Raccoons, you have to force up here. I mean, it's the best chance for you to try to stop the bleeding as early as possible, because if you don't stop it here, then for certain you're going to get like 13-5, 13-6. You're just going to lose to TSM here, and it's going to be a 2-0 sweep for the boys in black and white. But now as they start to push in towards this B side, they're running fast. The Stingers from range, it's not going to do a lot. Subrosa, Temperature, everything is happening on the site all at once, and it boils down to 2 final players. Wardell's got shots for days. It's all down to Temperature. 1v3, and Wardell with the Ghost sends his regards to Casper, takes down the entire Moon Raccoons lineup, and now TSM, they trail by 2. This is a scary position if you're a Moon Raccoons fan.
And I like how Moon Raccoons tried to make that round work, right? Like, they forced up, as we discussed. TSM has no idea that that's what they're doing. So Moon Raccoons trying to catch them off guard, go with a very hot and heavy hit right up the middle of the map to try to catch TSM off guard. But the paranoia from B, from Hazed, just caused serious problems for Moon Raccoons. They were all blind up in heaven. They just got ripped to shreds, and they didn't have much else to work with. Here we're going to see Moon Raccoons on the attacking side still, working their way towards A. We've seen heavy mid. Now we're going to see a heavy A quick one, too.
Well, they don't really have a lot to work with. They'd love to get the spike down, but that's exactly where it is. It's down. It's not in the hands of anybody. This is just going to be a quick throwaway round for Moon Raccoons. If they can find a pick, great. Hayes is unfortunately going to be the only one that feels that pain. Okay, that's 1 pick, but now you're dead. Unless you find one from range, which with the Frenzy, you're not going to find a whole lot of success. This is the most important round up and coming for Moon Raccoons. TSM have managed to stop the force up. Then, of course, they buy some of their own weapons. They're in a really good position in terms of the economy. They've won 3 in a row. If they lose here now, they might still be able to force up in the round to follow. But considering this is the round Moon Raccoons need to win, this is, I feel like, going to decide the tempo and the pace of the rest of this half.
Very well may be the case. Wardell does have an operator. Not going to be responded by Fiend here as he just has the Phantom. You hear the run it back has been used early on as you see members of TSM showing aggression from A. They start to funnel over. A good bit of utility there to keep things at bay. No information gained. A little bit of real estate by TSM, but they didn't spot anyone.
This is a scary round for Moon Raccoons. The fact that, oh man, Cutler is so deep in the attacker spawn. Moon Raccoons have gotten a lot of mid ground for sure. So this is a high risk, high reward play for TSM. Rebo is just trying to figure out where Cutler lurked up. He doesn't have a lot of information. Oh, he sees him. He sees him. 63 HP. He's got to push. Yep, the op, it misses for Wardell. Rebo's just on the run now. He's a fugitive. trying to escape the police, but the rest of the Moon Raccoons, they're going to push on to the B site. Sabrosa still in B main, so he's going to be the X factor to pay attention to. The rest of TSM will funnel in the normal way.
And that's what I love what we're seeing out of Sabrosa here. Understanding he was alone and knowing he had resources, but they were elsewhere on the map, he actually gets off the site. He plays into garage by time for his teammates to show up, by time for the reinforcements to be there. See if Rebo's able to get that gunfight. No, he is not. Big kill for Cutler. More room for TSM as members of Moon Raccoons continue to fall.
Now it's all down to temperature alongside Alexander. Psych, it's just temperature, and he's feeling a little cold, all on his lonesome. Corpse on the ground gives us the dead giveaway. TSM tie us up 8-8. That was the round that Moon Raccoons needed to find some of their own momentum, but now the pendulum is starting to swing in TSM's favor. Ever so close to shutting out Moon Raccoons. Let's see how this next round is starting to develop. They've got the Blade Storm. They've got temperature to have that from the shadows if he wants to create a cheeky play. 5 stacking towards A. I imagine it's going to be a quick round. We'll see how much power Fiend's got in those blades.
Also interesting to note for TSM, both Hazed and Sabrosa are 1 point away from getting their ultimate. You see them positioning right by an orb towards B, so you can tell they're trying to get some there. You see the smoke comes out to try to give him some cover, and he's slowly going to creep his way forward. You imagine that the showstopper is eventually going to be put in his pocket. It's an inevitability at this point. Meanwhile, Moon Raccoons is going to be working their way over towards A. As you mentioned, they don't have a ton of guns to work with, so it's just a difficult task for them here, but they've managed to work their way into heaven. This is certainly far from over.
Fiend hasn't used the blades yet, and he's not going to get a chance to, as TSM are just going to hold the line. The flower pot angle, drone holds it, takes down the other player, trying to push onto the site. It's all down to Profi, 9 HP. Going to be going the ropes route, and Sabrosa's going to be waiting there with open arms for the cross across mid. There you go. Shot's going to be good. Headshot, of all things, to take him down. Now TSM lead by 1. This is where things are starting to get even more scarier for Moon Raccoons. How are they going to adapt on the fly? What are they going to buy this round? It's going to be the force up. No ops, no ability to buy them either. How are they going to defend against TSM?
Yeah, the wheels have really fallen off of the proverbial bus here for Moon Raccoons. TSM on this half have put up 5 rounds in a row, and they've got money for days. I mean, they can bleed a couple of rounds, and they're going to be just fine. Moon Raccoons not nearly as fortunate, but we haven't seen this a ton. They have a lurker over towards A, but heavy presence by B. See that paranoia come through. Sabrosa goes in. He's able to get one. Alexander trades it out, however.
Shadows traveling.
Oh, here's the orb at least. Haze won't shoot through it. Wonder which ultimate they got. It must have been the Showstopper or Rolling Thunder. Rebo's been holding down any potential flanks for lurks from A main. Just sitting pretty. He's been doing that consistently, and actually TSM forced him off a couple of rounds ago. Now Moon Raccoons, the 4v4. Where do they end up going? Because they're still kind of tight-knit on the attacker side. Nothing has been set up quite yet, and TSM are holding great angles on every possible location. So they'll know Moon Raccoons are coming before they even get there.
Rebo finally rotating away. Near the showstopper. Alexander goes in, blast packs his way across, no paranoia to keep him at bay. He gets so much room, creates so much space for his team, but Hayes was just around the corner, and he's able to take care of him as well. 2 huge picks from Hayes.
Yeah, he really made it super problematic for Moon Raccoons. It's all down to Profi. He's got the spike. Obviously may want to plant it down. He's going to roll out the red carpet just to get that extra money, but he's going to be burned alive at the crisp. Drone up above in heaven. Oh, Profi sees him. Headshot, 1v2, but not enough time. So unfortunately, he's going to lose the credits as well. 1,000 credits will not end up in his pocket due to the save here. I don't think he intended for that to happen. He just wanted to get the spike down. Now TSM, a great half for them. 6 rounds in a row. And Moon Raccoons have done not a whole lot to stop the bleeding. They've tried, but it's been tough. It's been tough.
It has been tough indeed. You take a look at a couple of ultimates that are available for Temperature, Fiend, and Rebo on the side of TSM. Cutler's close to the Rolling Thunder, 2 points off, but not going to have that available. You see Wardell with the operator holding down the middle of the map. Moon Raccoons have shown some presence here. Wardell just narrowly giving a player of Moon Raccoons a haircut and is forced off. He's gonna have to back up over onto A, and that's gonna give Moon Raccoons a little bit more breathing room up across the middle of the map.
The way TSM are positioned as well is to handle any mid pressure, not necessarily at ropes or, but they've got a great handle on what's going on here. Sabrosa's gonna go up and over. Can't gather his bearings quite yet. The 4v4 remains. Drone will rotate back into ropes, and they'll try again to hold that mid pressure. But B main is going to be pretty easy to walk through. There's not a lot of presence from TSM to look in towards B main, so this should be a quick sight hit for Moon Raccoons.
Yeah, you see the smokes coming out, the paranoia declare at the back of the site. That's going to let TSM know where the action is going down. You still have Wardell on the opposite side of the map too, ensuring that there are no shenanigans. Drone up from heaven is able to get two, looking for the third. No. Alexander trades it out with the Spectre. He's the last one standing, able to get one.
Whoa.
Two, that's three on the round for him. He drops things down to a 1v1. Alexander with the heroics, keeping this round close.
1v1. Wardell versus Alexander. He sees Wardell, a headshot! As Moon Raccoons, they stay alive. That was for sure a round for TSM to come up. A lot of that mid presence gave a little bit more space for Moon Raccoons to play with this B-side hit. Of course, Drone found a lot of success retaking it with Cutler. But Alexander, he was the player to watch out for, as Steele had highlighted in his own predictions for the Moon Raccoons to take a series. He's been performing quite well, but listen, it's TSM. Drone, Sabrosa, and Wardell are always going to show up when it matters most. And boy, are they. TSM still lead by one. Moon Raccoons, another stab. Stay alive.
A lot of presence towards B. You hear the runner back has been used from Drone as he creates some more space, gets some more info for TSM. He did get cleaned up, not able to get any kills, however. And there was also nobody following him up. Fiend goes in aggressively, at least takes a peek over those boxes with the Blade Storm. Nobody is there as well. Moon Raccoon showed a bit towards B and across the middle of the map. They're actually going to be rotating through the spawn, and take a look at how much real estate Wardell has been able to pick up on the side of TSM.
That's why TSM have been able to play so mid-favored. Hayes is looking to be main push. The other three members can just hold this choke because TSM has so much real estate, as you pointed out. Alexander's going to be the first to peek here. Probably doesn't anticipate Wardell holding that angle. And now this is just Moon Raccoons. Where do we go? Where do we end up pushing? The fact that Wardell's given up the angle means that TSM need to respect the potential A hit. And so B is a little bit more easier to hit, but we only know that because of caster vision.
30 seconds left.
Rolling Thunder causing problems, yep, as Fiend drops. Cutler's able to get the best of him. Profi got knocked up pretty badly as well, but somehow Moon Raccoons here. Oh, a drone up from heaven is able to take care of Temperature. The spike goes down as well. This round is, for all intents and purposes, lost for Moon Raccoons, as TSM should. Yep, there it is. A flawless round and a 2-round lead.
And if you're a Moon Raccoon fan, life is really starting to look a little bleak. TSM have really held this defensive side well. You could see how effective TSM were on their own defensive side, managing to find 4 rounds. Or sorry, yes, on their own defensive side. That is the best case scenario. You know, Split is very hard to penetrate through as the attack, and you're seeing that here from Moon Raccoons, right? It is very difficult, and TSM have done a great job. Looking at the setup this round, once again, Moon Raccoons trying their hand at some mid-presence as Sabrosa. He's been playing the B main side a little bit and finding a little bit more success. Wardell holding that angle up in heaven is going to find 2. Wardell, one more is going to do it! Wardell! Can he find another? The eco is falling apart for Moon Raccoons. Temperature, the last one standing. He's got a future ram, a Spectre, but he doesn't have the rest of his teammates. Wardell and company will start their hunt. They smell blood in the water. The sharks are out. It's open season. Temperature, light armor, and a Spectre, and a whole lot of nothing. Almost gets the kill onto Sabrosa. The running gun not going to work out for him. TSM at match And series point, I'd imagine
Match
Coach
point.
Myth is ecstatic about the potential qualification here for TSM for the first strike major. And boy, are they about to do it.
Wardell had a huge round there, and I also think it's worth pointing out Wardell was able to get that opening pick with the operator into Alexander, who had just used the showstopper, right? So that was certainly in the face of peril. Big kill from him. Then, as you guys saw, the rest of the round was really highlight reel content for him. Moon Raccoons, as you mentioned, down to their last. No room for mistakes. They haven't been able to get anything going up the middle of the map. This time they're hanging out over towards A, which is where TSM has the vast majority of their resources. A couple in heaven, some backside. They're actually starting to rotate away. I love how passively and how cautiously they're playing this, but Moon Raccoons goes in. Oh my gosh, it's like playing Duck Hunt. He just rips them out of the sky. Moon Raccoons fall apart. They're just down to one member left. It's Temperature. He backs up. Wardell goes in aggressively. Temperature takes care of him. He's got the Guardian, able to get two, but no. Sub Rosa takes care of business. TSM 2-0, Moon Raccoons in advance.
Wow. Wardell was like a fly swatter there. It was the August heat, and he just went, well, pow. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, can of whoop ass onto the Moon Raccoons there. Just absolutely dominating them. Holy smokes. It was a little bit more competitive on split, but TSM, as statistically as you would predict, would win that. Let's bring Reflections back in. Reflections. Yeah. What a series from TSM. Moon Raccoons, they almost stood a chance, but TSM, of course, too strong.
You know, it is one of my favorite sayings to say whenever I cast, whether it be Gears of War or whatever, is, you know, sometimes it is a tale of two halves. And in this case, it definitely was, right? And Split is a tale of two halves in most series and most cases, right? But you look at Moon Raccoons, 8-4 first half, just a dominant performance coming out from Alexander. I mean, he just played so well. He was not scared, right? To use those SAS charges to go in, maybe get a quick pick. You know, and also for Temperature, Temperature also played very well. That sneaky defuse, by the way, in round 9, you know, I forget if it was you, Simo, or Doug, who ended up saying it, you know, when Moon Raccoons, you know, are playing, they basically play to have fun. And that seemed like a fun play, but it was an important one too. And Doug pointed out, actually, because obviously, you know, one of the members had to stay back from TSM, you know, he had to rebuy, right? Which obviously kept him away from getting that op in the next round or round after that. So even though it was kind of trivial and it seemed fun, it seemed playful, there was a real reason why it seemed he did it. That 3-piece, by the way, in mid for for Temperature, right? I mean, you pointed out, Sima, like that needed to come a lot earlier, but this is where things started to fall apart. All right, drone comes off, round number 1, picks up these massive amount of kills, and then that led into a second round, that led into a second round, which was the first round, right, for Moon Raccoons, and that led into a loss. That led into a save round, led into a loss. It just started really going downhill, and Moon Raccoons, yeah, they win a couple of rounds in the end, but Simo,
listen, maybe I should have stayed as TSM Simo. It seems like I would have been fine. I would have been in the good graces of the TSM community, but listen, my predictions, just wanted to see if the underdog could take it. I think for Moon Raccoons, this was the challenge. This was the next step to leveling up their roster, right? But we also have to consider for one moment, think about who also didn't make it, right? You've got teams like Gen G, Exet, Beast Coast. There's a lot of great teams, Energy, that did not make it, and Moon Raccoons is among one of them. They had to beat TSM. They're a very difficult opponent. They're top 5 in NA for a reason, right? There's a reason why they are one of the best, why they have made it to grand finals over and over and over and over again. So statistically, TSM should have made it, and they did so in the fashion that you would expect TSM to do so, in a dominant one.
Raccoons, yeah, you know, they suffer a loss. Again, they had nothing to lose coming into this. They had everything to gain. And even though they do lose, I think they gained quite a bit, right? They gained a huge fan base throughout the run of, you know, open qualifiers, closed qualifiers. And more importantly, I think they actually probably put themselves in a great position, despite the loss. I think there is an org that might find great value in Moon Raccoons and this team that has been, you know, poised to do great things.
Yeah, I think so for sure. They certainly garnered a lot of attention, rightfully so. with the performance that they had. Unfortunately, just coming up a bit short. But I think Alexander was just a standout player. I mean, I don't even remember. He had like 67,000 kills or something insane like that in that second map. Dude just like popped off. You mentioned earlier on he was in a lot of ways playing fearlessly, and it paid off for him. But again, it really, at the end of the day, Simo continued to double down on this point, and he was right? Like the lead for Moon Raccoons in that first half was just not enough. Knowing that TSM was going to be able to come in from a position of strength in that second half was just too much. They overwhelmed Moon Raccoons, and while it was an admirable performance, they just fell a bit short, unfortunately.
And, to be truthful, right, in that second half, would a couple of rounds mattered? It could have, right? I mean, what it could have, should have. There's a lot of if factors. But the point is, I think Split was the best opportunity for Moon Raccoons, to send it to a game 3. And, they gave it their best shot. They really, really did. And they were an exciting team. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for them. But just like teams before them now, of course, they will exit. But for TSM, they will move forward and they can breathe a sigh of relief as they have, in fact, made it to regional finals despite, some ups and downs. Now, finally, everything is justified in the end. A good series overall. Still one more to come. And it is going to be a fun one for many reasons we'll get into. But it's going to be LG versus Immortals. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Valorant First Strike UMG Close Qualifiers. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined once again by Esports Dog as well as Simo. We're going into our final series, an important series, obviously, because one will, in fact, not be qualifying for regional finals, but one team will, as it has been all day long. So this will be our last elimination match on stream, at least here for the UMG Close Qualifier portion. It's going to be Luminosity Gaming going against Immortals. Simo, how are you feeling about this series?
Well, I'm not LG Simo or Immortal Simo, so I think I'm fine. I think I can stay impartial. I'm fine. I'm chilling. But I think this is just a very interesting storyline. You know, having whether or not Shanks is playing for Immortals. Like, imagine a world where Immortals qualify and it's with Shanks, and then they don't use him for the major. That's just such an interesting storyline to me, and it's important to just look at it, like see, because they almost did a great job against T1 with Shanks, but it wasn't enough. And now here we are. Here we are, Doug. We are here. In fact, how are you feeling about this series, the last series of the day?
I'm super pumped to be sending one of these two teams to First Strike. Again, this has been months in the making. This has been the goal of teams for this entire time. And again, the narrative around Immortals. But I got to tell you, and I don't know if Veli out there is watching, but I know he's been a big fan of LG from day one. For them to work themselves to this position is just really impressive. I think for a lot of people, LG was maybe on the radar, but on the fringes of it. They have the potential to be one of the best 8 teams in North America. And again, for a lot of folks, that's insane.
It definitely is, right? I mean, again, you know, it's been a beautiful, I think, just any portion of the qualifiers, right? I mean, anybody had a chance to kind of make it into the regional finals, and that's kind of been the storyline, right? I mean, look at Moon Raccoons, who just, you know, obviously just exit now the close qualifiers, but a team that was unsigned that came through and just surprised everyone. It's been a beautiful thing for LG. It might continue to improve. We'll definitely find out as we head into our maps. Take a look at them, right? Because obviously, we only have 4 to choose from, but at least in this case, we have Bind, Haven, and Split. LG did, in fact, ban Ascent. But, you know, for you, Simo, you mentioned Bind. This is what it comes down to between these two teams. Why is that?
Yeah, they both have a lot of reps on this map. Immortals only losing Bind to T1 yesterday. But it was a little bit of a closer affair. I think, you know, looking at it big picture, it went to overtime, which was a nail biter, and T1 managed to sneak that one through. So both very proficient on Bind. If either team can get the leg up on the first map, then the second, you know, is going to be just as competitive. If it does end up somehow to that third map, Luminosity do not have a lot of reps on Split, so we don't know what they have cooking, whereas there's a little bit more from the Immortal side. So it really just all depends on how this first map goes, I think, to see if this is a 3-map series or not.
Well, we're definitely going to find out relatively soon, right? Of course, we have to give our predictions, and I know, Simo, you were very, very proud, right? And you put it out there for Moon Raccoons. I don't blame you, okay? Looking at the stats, it seemed as if they might have had a chance, but they ended up falling a bit short. Therefore, you do fall down to our levels, okay? So we're all even at 5 and 7, so this is very much so going to be potentially the tiebreaker. I'm going with the Immortals. 2-0. I think they're going to be able to take this. You know, I look, and the reason why Immortals has just been on fire, I think they have a lot to play for here, right? You know, they're representing, obviously, Shot Up, who unfortunately, you know, had some things go down. But with Shanks in the mix, it's like that honeymoon phase. He's coming in, he's playing hard, and he's been playing very, very well. But for you, Doug, super curious to hear your prediction. Who do you think is going to end up ahead?
I do think at the end of the day, I have to go with Immortals in 2-1 fashion. And here's the thing. For Shanks, excuse me, joining the roster yesterday as a stand-in, there are a few things that really were, while this was a terrible scenario and terrible circumstance, it really kind of plays out okay for Immortals. And here's what I mean. They lost a duelist, right? It wasn't like losing a Sova or losing an Omen or like a Killjoy who has to understand all of the spots to their utility and how they play around the map. Shanks is just really freaking good at entering sites and just blowing people up, right? For Immortals is, as well as they played with him in a stand-in spot yesterday, I'm sure while there wasn't a ton of time, they put a little bit of time into things today with Shanks instead of Shot Up, at least reviewing film, talking about what are different set pieces that they can have going. So I think while Immortals looked good yesterday, we're even going to see a stronger performance out of them today.
I think we will, but Simo, what do you think? Who are you going with? Are you on the limb? Are you going with LG? You going with Immortals? What do you got?
I'm sticking with you guys, Immortals. I think, you know, what I had seen from them yesterday, especially against T1 with Shanks in the lineup, they're just a well-oiled machine. You know, all of the parts working quite well together with or without Shanks, with or without Shot. The whole team as a roster works well together, and that is one of the things that is very impressive about Immortals. But I think this series is going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up somehow in 2 overtime matches. Like, LG is a good team. I just think Immortals have this beautiful Cinderella story, and for them to make it here now into the top 8 would be a beautiful sight for the organization.
Well, hey, check it out. First time LG is going to be on mainstream. I know the map is getting loaded up. Let's not forget Shanks into double overtime versus T1 just the other night. The opportunity is there, but it's going to get started. LG versus Immortals. Let's head into Bind. Boys, take it away.
Thank you, Reflections. Yes, the last series of the night, 2 teams fighting for 1 spot. One of these 2 squads are qualifying for First Strike, the big kahuna, the granddaddy of them all, and the other one's going to be going home empty-handed. Simo, I know we talked a bit about the predictions and how we were leaning towards Immortals. Who are you watching on the side of Luminosity, actually, to keep things spicy, to keep things interesting?
Oh, Thief and A Proto, like, without a doubt. A Proto is nuts. But I think LG, similar to Immortals, the entire team works incredibly well. Mata has phenomenal performances from time to time when he pops off on the Sova. A Proto, crispy aim. Man's been in the aim lab all day, every day, training in the practice range. The whole team works out incredibly well. So I'd love to see what type of compositions we got cooking up here. Pretty standard stuff, I think, across the board for both teams. It's a mirrored comp. But Immortals, they'll be starting off on the attacking side first.
Heavy presence towards A, and not more of an aggressive posturing from Luminosity early on. You see the Omen is actually just hanging out back in U-Haul, not playing up aggressively, not really contesting the short spot. They're giving up that much distance, and, well, Immortals is going to take it.
Early push up short here for Immortals, and they're getting aggressive. The paranoia doesn't quite work out, and now as they start to push forward, JC Stanny has got to reload the clip, but Steve will take him down. It's traded out by Neptune, and now a 3v2 retake for Luminosity as the B-side anchors are coming late to the party.
Spike planted.
Yeah, they've shown up, but at this point, the spike has been planted. A Proto working his way through pipes. Interesting to see that Immortals did not work their way through that and establish themselves through that choke point. That's a heavily contested area of the map. We'll keep a close eye on that as the map goes on. Proto able to take care of Shanks, goes in for the second, and it's Neptune who gives him the business up close and personal. Just one left. It's Mata. He's able to get one, looking for the second. Gonna get tagged up, tagged back, and now it's Mata who's actually on the hunt. He's trying to hunt people down, but he's buying time. Neptune? He doesn't believe it. He's just sticking it. Oh, he goes around. Yes. He gets the kill, a 3K, and Immortals get on the board first.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. I was listening to Steel's companion stream earlier in the day when he was watching Cloud9 up against T1, and he was saying Cloud9 always stick to defuse. There's no games. Just rush them down. Just peek. They're always defusing. And in that case, we saw Mata. He didn't have a lot of time left. He didn't have a lot of choices left. And Neptune was able to escape, really run away, sprint away from that engagement. And he ultimately swings at the correct time. It was a little close, I'm going to have to say, but Immortals winning the pistol is a great start. 2 Phantoms on board. They want to carry these into the 3rd round.
They do indeed. No hot and heavy push-up A short this time. Similar positioning on the side of Luminosity, particularly around Stellar and the room he's kind of giving up here across short. Meanwhile, you see on your mini-map, it is going to be Mata who's playing a bit further back. Now he's working his way towards A, but from Immortals, at least early on, I like this. Nothing has really been shown. There's that Cypher cam. We're going to see that a lot, peeking its way into showers, as of course they funnel that way when we see that, or as I say that, but now we're right back where we started. It looks like it's going to be another push-up A short.
Enemy marked.
At least Luminosity are ready for it. They see one. Oh, they're going to spot another, and he's going to swing right as that drone dissipates. They're ready to get engaged here. Shanks pushing forward. Shanks with 2. A player behind Tetris. He's going to get blocked out. One more player in Lamps. The burst classic not going to work out. It's down to KZ, and he will be taking down Those Phantoms will carry on into that third round. Very interesting. And they get the bonus gold from, sorry, bonus gold. I'm thinking of League of Legends. Bonus credits. Bonus credits. They get that from the spike plant there. This is the round here for Luminosity to turn things back into their favor.
And as you mentioned, they're going to be bringing in a couple of Phantoms, and they bought some here too. So now the only, if you can say, weaker spot is going to be Gangsta with the Bulldog instead of one of the two marquee rifles in the game. Immortals has a 2-round lead. Luminosity have been hit a bit here. There's that camera that we were just talking about. It's an interesting counter. You see this very frequently. Omen smoking that out really negates all of the information that comes from that Cypher camera.
Wasn't it against T1 that we saw them really struggle with Immortals shower control? I think that might have been the series where Immortals was consistently getting showers control, whether it was the defense or the offensive side. We're seeing something similar again, and it's just, once again, going to be that heavy A hit. They have to worry about the 50 on the right. Prato's going to find him, and another lined up shot. There's one more player in the showers. A Proto, the waffle crosshairs working out, has to reload the clip. Shanks will take him down, but Stellar, icing on the cake, will take out Shanks. And Luminosity answered back on that third round conversion.
And again, it's not like Immortals were rocking Spectres and Stingers because they had some SMGs from the prior round. They had rifles, and a Proto just rips them to shreds. Unfortunately, the clip runs just a bit dry. Has to switch to the Classic, and at that point, he loses the fight. But Luminosity was able to clean up and finish up what a Proto had started. A great start for him to the map. Obviously, that last round certainly helped. But for Immortals, we've seen a delayed A short, we've seen a hot and heavy A short, not a whole lot of attention spread towards B, and in the previous round, Luminosity worked their way, and they're doing it again. They pushed down B long to get some information, to get some real estate.
A little bit scary for Immortals. They haven't shown a lot towards that B site, and that's why you're seeing KZ push up quite aggressively, because they haven't shown face there. They've just given free orbs to Luminosity, likely going over towards KZ, who's got the Blade Storm now. But the fact that they've got so much showers presence, it's great on Luminosity to push up and get a little bit more ground, even though it's the eco, to understand, okay, we're always going to expect some form of showers presence from Immortals. Let's try to read the other side of the map.
That is exactly where Immortals end up as they're rolling in bunches. You see the Cypher's going to be lagging a bit behind. I like this positioning from KZ. Going to be around elbows. JMO goes up. He's able to get one with the blade. Steve sitting on the sideline for the rest of the round. But again, KZ all through the smoke. Are you kidding me?
Wow. And that's going to be an upgrade with a Vandal. He's going to sit in the cubby, spike down, retake for Luminosity. Hedwig going to come through. Spot a Wizard in the cubby, looking for the Paranoia as well. Shots are going to be good. It gets traded out, and it's the 2v3, make it a 3v1. Stellar, the last player standing. This is a great comeback round for Immortals. All down to Stellar, sees where the spike's planted for B long. First gun duel going to work out in his favor. Neptune from the side. What a thrifty round here from Immortals. They swap over from that showers presence. And even though that early pick goes down for KZ, an aggressive jet push onto the B site works out quite well for them.
It does indeed, and I think a lot of it was KZ dying in that elbow. He was in a really good spot to keep Immortals at bay, but dropping there really just kind of opens up the site for them, and they, as you saw, were able to take care of business. And again, it was on a thrifty round. There was, I think the Sheriff did most of the damage there throughout that round. Immortals here, as we start the 5th round, have 3 ultimates to work with. We've seen a number of different looks from the attacking side here, and it looks like now we're going to get even another one. I love how diverse their plays have been early on here.
Well, you know, color me surprised when Immortals is in the showers for 5 rounds in a row now. Depending on however many players they send there, the Sentinel and the Initiator. And it really sets up a nice A short hit because you've got support from the opposite side, but it's just orb control. They've gotten this for free so many rounds in a row. The fact that Gangsta has his ultimate now, Neptune has his ultimate now, they've just been farming those orbs. And Luminosity could have had a little bit more presence towards that B long side to just, you know, grab some orbs of their own, because look at how many ultimates are available for Immortals. Some of those are from kills and some of those are from ult orbs. And now this delayed mid-round A hit is going to be It's going to be tough because they know that they've got a little bit more of an easier sight line into the A side, but here it comes.
Oh, Stellar drops out the paranoia. It's not going to flash anyone up as you see Immortals going a bit aggressively. Gangsta with the Hunter's Fury trying to clear some room as Shanks drops. The spike is going to begin to be planted. Yeah, keep a close eye on that flank, folks. He's going to make his way over. Will he be able to get there in time, however, and will it be left unchecked? Thief? Exactly. Doing just that. Yeah, he sucker punches. JMO is able to get one in a second on a Gangsta, but JC Stanny with 3 keeps it interesting. Luminosity, however, managed to overpower Immortals. A Proto's going to get the defuse and bridge the gap, lead down to 1.
Yeah, that Thief flank really exploited this consistent A-side hit. Let's have a look at the replay and the recon bolt. We got to give credit to the support, you know, Mata with the recon bolt there. Finding 2 players, giving Thief the perfect swing into A short. And now Immortals, hopefully they learn their lesson. I still would like to see that Showers presence, maybe just the Cypher, leave him over there. We often see a heavy B-side hit with a lurker towards Showers to just catch the rotates off. But Immortals have opted in for just the heaviest Shower presence I've ever seen. But now we're finally getting a look at what their B-side hit looks like, or at least their early round B-side information fishing.
Smoke comes out from Omen. Different camera here. More of an aggressive one as the cameras are going to spot each other. Meanwhile, Gangsta with the drone working his way up B long. Get some info. Idea of where some of the players are. So at this point, Immortals knows that there's a Cypher over by A. They did spot the jet through the drone, so they have some sort of an idea of where the defenses of Luminosity are, but not enough to make a confident play either way. See the smokes coming out. Roomba's going to be clearing the way. The paranoia once again out of JC Stanny, keeping Immortals at bay for now.
We've seen that paranoia quite consistently, but look at that. The teleport back. Stellar's in a great position for the flank. Does he take out some of those members? The spike's going down, but you've got another flank developing from Thief, so even if Stellar falls, Immortals are being pinched in. Unfortunately for LG, they've lost too many members now, and now the flank has been read by IMT. They take out Stellar, but there's still 1 more remaining. Mata coming in from that heaven side. Shots are crispy. Wow. Shots are going to be good to answer back here for Gangsta. I like the attempt here from Luminosity, but Immortals just held the line and did not let the flanks work out from A short. Spike going to be taken down. Mata may be looking for some exits. I don't think the heroics here are going to be super crispy. He's at least going to get 1 for his troubles. Back away, save that Vandal to the next round. Immortals now lead by 2. When will this A-side hit not work? That is my question. When will LG? They've tried the flank. They've tried holding varying different angles. The one round that I think it did work out was when a Proto was towards just outside Showers, right by that double box. He got a beautiful 4K, but you know that can only work so much, right? So what do LG have up their sleeve to stop these insane, consistent A hits?
And you even see a Proto on that last round put his utility in a slightly different spot. He dropped that tripwire in the entrance through a short, knowing that that's where they've been going. But as you said, Immortals was just able to get what they wanted out of there anyway. Not a ton of utility this time around, just 1 tripwire on the entrance to Showers. No camera to note either from Luminosity. You hear the Blade Storm has been used. Ever a spicy thing to keep in mind. Ever an equalizer in situations where firepower might be lacking. Luminosity still have a good number of ultimates to work with as well.
I like that smoke to be short as well. It's going to allow KZ to get into a good position. The Boombot to clear things out. Paranoia as well to follow out. We'll see if KZ can get out. He cannot. That's the Blade Storm gone. And now Shanks will lead the charge from the hookah side. The rest of the team need to get onto the site. The spray through the smoke. Stellar lands those classic shots. Mata answering back from the tuna can. Now it's down to the 3v3. There's going to be the showstopper coming in for Thief. He's going to try to clear out hookah, but they back away, and the portal's been called. So now LG, 3 members strong, will retake from the defender spawn.
Yeah, Gangsta is going to be the first one there, and the spike is going to follow shortly after. First place you see him check his pipes. Again, a very important area of the map to control, especially towards this A side. Neptune hanging out in U-Haul. Nothing doing quite yet. You see members of Luminosity all have finally started to show up. No cheeky flank to keep in mind this time from Thief or anything like that. They're all going to be coming in from the same side. Heaven and a Proto coming in from the pipes. The smokes are going to be ours.
There's back. Trade down to Thief. Free Fire's 1 HP. Has one, but there's shock darts and there's a Hunter's Free. One egg is all he needs. There's the defuse, at least has two. Doesn't have time. Saves the weapon, backs away. And the threat of the Hunter's Fury will pull Thief back. Immortals now lead by 3. A solid start for them. They tried to hit that B site quick. It didn't work. I like that the Thrifty was still enough for Luminosity to keep Immortals at bay from the B site hit. They couldn't get in fast. You saw J-Mo was just stuck in Octagon. He wasn't confident enough to push in. And Shanks didn't get a lot of ground despite having so much hookah control. But I like those quick rotations over towards the A side. But fortunately for LG, they read it, just couldn't get the round win.
Once again, Immortals working their way towards showers. You see a good bit of utility used there this time to ensure that there's safe passage as they fight for the orb control, something you've mentioned a good bit. Simo and LG has not been able to do anything to respond. They get in, they get what they want, and then they rotate away. Meanwhile, the Spike and the rest of Immortals are on the opposite side, waiting, playing a bit more slowly as their teammates are up to shenanigans by A.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I'd love to see like a double peek from Luminosity into showers, you know? Just try it out. See what happens on the opposite side, because you've got this lurk now that can develop either from Neptune alone, or if Gangsta decides to join them. They're always together on that side, gathering information, gathering orb control.
Blinding.
And this B-side hit is going to be interesting. Shanks, once again, the standard paranoia to get hookah control, but no one's home. At least they don't see anyone quite yet.
There's a ton of utility. I mean, that bad boy's lit up like a Christmas tree, but it looks like Immortals are going to want to go that way anyway. They creep their way forward. There is some elbow presence, but yeah, they just go in. They go aggressive from up top. They're able to take out members of LG as they're just down to 2. Thief drops as well as Neptune lights up the kill feed. Stellar, the last one alive. He's in hookah, but he's severely outnumbered. He's going to drop as well. A 3K on the round for him. Immortals continue to pile it on the attacking side.
You know, early rounds, we saw a little bit of aggression from Luminosity towards B-Long. They were looking for some of their own orb control, tried to get a Blade Storm or a Showstopper on Thief and KZ respectively. I'd like to see that on the flip side towards that showers, because Immortals like always. And what's the harm in denying orb control from Immortals? What's the harm in that? There isn't. There truly isn't. You gather information, maybe you smoke it off, maybe you pre-fire spray through the smoke. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. We'll see now, it's the eco here for Luminosity, poised aggressively into the cubby. How much value can Stellar get here as the Owl Drone does spot him out? He's going to try to push forward. Not going to work out, while the rest of the team will start to wrap around.
No Vision Striker shenanigans this time around. Immortals are just going to work their way in. A Proto's going to be flashed off. Oh, and he's getting pushed in from both sides. He is able to get one, but Neptune trades it out. The spike has been planted as the Neural Theft is going to give away everything. Gangsta drops as well. It looked dicey, but so far, Immortals hold fast yet again. They've just been so dominant on the attacking side. Simo, Luminosity don't have answers. They can't stop a nosebleed at this point, much less Immortals.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably take this matchup over a nosebleed any day of the week. I don't think I've ever had a nosebleed in my life.
Ever?
So I don't think I'd want that option.
Wow.
But for Immortals, you have to be very happy about how this attacking half is going. Bind, yes, it's, you know, just marginally attacking favored for some teams. But, you know, once we move on to that defensive side, I think Immortals aren't going to slow down anytime soon. It'll all, of course, boil down to that first initial pistol and how that continues. But I'm liking this look from LG, finally adapting, gathering a little bit of information. But for the first time, you actually see Shanks over here towards that shower side. That is new for Immortals.
Well, yeah, but look at why they brought him over. They've known that the ultimate orb has been easy pickings the entire time, knowing that they want Shanks to get that showstopper. Of course, they know it's there. They're just going to send him over there. They get it. And even with the operator presence from Luminosity, Immortals just play so well around the cages from Neptune to give them room to get in there and get what they need. Now that showstopper becomes a very important variable in this equation for the rest of the round.
See the push in. We're going to have the tailwind from the Octagon side, showstopper from the hookah side. It's decimation. Gangsta gonna find two. They at least answer back temporarily. There's a player on site, and the Blade Storm will find him, not the showstopper. Down to the 2v3 retake. Doable for LG. Now it's a 2v2, but both duelists are left. And guess what? See you later. I'm going to portal all the way to the A site. Shanks has to be careful. Shot's going to be good. And now it's a 1v2. I like this from LG. Now they've got a shot. Spike going down. 1v2. Can JMO do it?
You mentioned he has the Blade Storm. Keep a close eye on that. Oh, no. Oh, the timing. Unfortunate for JMO as Stellar's just able to take care of him. He had the chance to do something there, just wasn't able to get to safety in time. Luminosity are able to stop Immortals this time around. They're going to get the defuse and put up another round on the board.
I think there was also a quick portals play from Stellar and KZ. They hopped in and they flanked from the hookah side. And then, of course, since the push didn't quite work out for Immortals, they could have planted and Shanks could have played passively behind the tuna can. But I like the attempt. I like the effort. And I'm glad that Luminosity finally managed to stop some of that bleeding. With 2 rounds remaining, what potential score lines can we see? It's hard to tell considering the economy. Well, it's not that great for Immortals. You'd expect it to be a little bit more convincing, winning 4 in a row. But it's doable for Luminosity to maybe thwart it this round right here.
Once again, the battle for information around showers. The cages are going to go up, much like last time. Gangsta's going to use that drone and get some info, push back members of LG. And again, that orb is free for the taking. Immortals do have the Hunter's Fury to keep in mind as well, should they choose to avail themselves of that resource. Luminosity have plenty to work with on their side as well. They're going to be working their way towards hookah. At least for now, you see the ultimate has been used. If he sticks it, no, he just goes in for info. There's nobody going down B long. They know that much because everyone else is stacked up towards hookah. Now they're rotating away, however.
They don't have that same utility that they invested in that last round. Immortals committed the Blade Storm and the Showstopper to that quick B hit. But now Luminosity is still very confused where Immortals are. We understand that it's going to be the A short push now as the shots come through and misses. The Paranoia to try to help out. Hunter's Fury to layer that on top. But they might just hop into the portal. Oh, Neptune. Crispy shot onto KZ. But it still ends up down to a 3v3 retake.
Hunter's Fury is going to be used by Mata in response as the spike goes down. He was able to get JC Staney, but just a hair too late. The spike has been planted. As you see members of Immortals start to assume their post plants, Neptune drops. It's just going to be down to Gangsta. He has plenty of health, plenty of armor to work with. But he's got to find a way to get past the defenses. Mata takes care of Gangsta. They're going to get the defuse. Luminosity are starting to work their way towards a 7-5.
It's a good retake for Luminosity. They managed to come in from varying angles. I believe Thief hopped through the portal from B long, and Mata went the old way around. That gives them a lot of different angles to work with. Solid retake from Luminosity. Immortals. Economy's not looking too great as I had identified in that last round. And this is a great opportunity for KZ to use his op. We'll see where he ends up positioning it here. He has that advantage. Oh, but he doesn't opt to go in for it. He does have the Blade Storm. Oh, he does buy it back. But he does have the Blade Storm as well if he wants to get aggressive early. Once again, Immortals, the old tried and true, Shower's presence. But this time, as we've seen for the past couple of rounds, passive play towards this B side.
A different angle from KZ as well. As he looks down B long, there is going to be a JMO just on the other side. KZ's moving. KZ delivers the shots anyway. JMO out for the rest of the round.
That's what you like to see from LG. Finally, some of that aggression that we wanted to see come out from them, and it works out in dividends towards B long. Now it's just going to be what Immortals have been doing for the first kind of quarter, the first part of this half. The standard A short, A hits. There's 3 members here. They're holding on. A Prado is going to be the first line. The Paranoia pushes 2 members off of lamps, and they'll actually back all the way behind the APC. Now Neptune's coming through. Headshot, and they're just going to decimate them one at a time. Luminosity, both duelists left. Here comes the retake for LG.
I love that Paranoia because it forces Luminosity into a terrible situation. Either they try to stick it or they're pushed back, right? And Immortals is able to get all that room, but Thief, meanwhile, is just ripping Immortals to shreds. KZ has the Blade Storm, but he's gonna get dropped. JC Staney with 3 on the round. Immortals take the first half, 8-4.
Switching sides.
That's a good half here for Immortals. Now we'll see what this first pistol looks like. It's an important one for Luminosity to win. if they want to be a little bit more competitive, keep it a little bit closer. But Immortals definitely hot off the press. You know, I think the main story here for Immortals is the substitution for Shot Up. Shanks coming in, and he's filling some big shoes. Not necessarily having the game of a lifetime here, but he's doing exactly what his team needs to do. I was watching, shout out to Penguin. I was watching his companion stream earlier today, and as you had identified on the pregame, he's fulfilling a duelist role. If he was like a Cypher and he had to anchor a site, he'd have a little bit more difficulty knowing what the communication like was within the team. But playing a duelist, you just go in and you get the job done, or you don't. So he's been filling in some big shoes here for Immortals. We'll see how they defend this B short push. The classic Roomba, it's destroyed. That means that there's hookah presence from Immortals.
There is, but it looks like they're going to want to push into it anyway. Shanks, one of the first ones there. Members of Immortals are starting to rotate over through the spawn, at least primarily Neptune for now, as things have kind of come to a standstill. You see smokes are going to come out. Shanks still there. JMO up close and personal with the frenzy, able to get two, and he's going to dash away to safety, not able to get the third, but Gangsta with the shock dart is able to take care of Mata. Neptune, yes, the rest of Immortals just continue to mow down Luminosity. It wasn't just on the attacking side. The defensive side looks pretty dang good too.
Yeah, that box was rough. And normally there's creative ways to reveal information to the attack in hookah. And usually what you do is like Boombot goes in, you've got a player holding the line to that double box outside the portal, and then the other player hides in the 50, right? But this time they've just got a player crouching behind the box, and they don't anticipate it, and the paint shells worked out quite well to do a little bit of chip damage. Solid stuff from Immortals. And now it is their force buy. They should be able to take this one 10-4. Once again, Luminosity looking towards this B side once again.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Neptune has swapped the map. He had he had some utility and presence over by A. This time he's worked his way towards B. He's got suggests that there could be plenty of news over by B, and that's exactly where Luminosity is set up. The spike is going to be towards long, so you got to keep in mind there's the possibility for a teleplay at the very end. Typically, you'll see teams have some info by A, but not the case this time. This is certainly where they're going to want to go. Proto's able to take care of Neptune early on as the rest of Luminosity funnel onto the map. Immortals is now going to be showing up, but they're all going to be coming in from one side. Furthermore, Luminosity have aggressively taken that elbow control, so they can anchor onto that. They are going to back off, however, and give Immortals a bit more room to work with.
They're all going to be coming in from that elbow side. Some of the members will double back and go through the standard choke point. Gangsta, he's got a tall task here with Shanks. They got to make sure they clear all the possible angles. Boombot's definitely going to hurt for Luminosity here, but they've already started off hot. Now the push starts to come through. It's traded one after another, but Luminosity are falling apart at the seams. It's all down to Proto. Tries to get that classic burst to work out for him. It does not. You know, I thought for a moment there that retake was going to be very difficult for Immortals. There's a lot of smokes down, a lot of utility, great angles set up from Luminosity in the post plant. But again, the weaponry just not there. You know, I think if they had anything better than the pistols that they had, they would have had a little bit of a better time. But that's pretty much the best case scenario for the second round conversion. You lose 2 members or you knock down 2 members from the Immortals economy. They got to play with some weak stuff moving into this one. And now you can really exploit what you think is the weakest site to hit, which it does feel like for Luminosity, they're thinking it's that B site.
I do wish we had seen LG keep control of elbow there. I understand they didn't have the best weapons, but more presence there would have reduced the opportunities, the options for Immortals. Either way, the round does go in their favor, a 6-round lead here. And once again, Neptune this time is going to be over towards B. Meanwhile, the rest of Immortals is going to be pushing it aggressively through A.
That is such a strange game plan for Immortals. They've given up a lot of control of the A side. Now Proto is going to find a little bit more space to work with. 2 headshots for Crispy. Does he find the third? Yes, sir! Give it to him. Now the A side's wide open. He's just going to hold on here, but as the rest of the team have already worked their way up B short, Gangsta tries to find a little bit more damage, but it does look like LG will have a redemption round here on their force up.
What a strange round. Neptune looks like he's going to stay safe here as all of Luminosity are over by A and they get the spike down. Oh, he might hunt this thing out. He's going to spot one. but again, doesn't have a ton to work with. Has the Spectre. He's going to get tagged up and pushed back down to 44 health, and they swarm him. They push him in from a couple of different angles. Steve is able to deliver the final blow and take him out, however.
This is just so good for me, Prado. And I think he also, you know, taking a page out of Immortal's book, having a little bit of Shower's presence, but most ciphers on the attack have Shower's presence, right? It was a little strange to see that kind of be a little bit lackluster for Luminosity on their defensive side, but it's good to see that they're picking up that same vibe, that same energy on their own attacking half, and Prado just finds so much value after that A short mayhem where they pushed up aggressively. So I think Immortals were looking for a little more, but let's pay attention to the round at hand. Luminosity paying a little bit more passively towards the hookah side, maybe seeing if anyone's looking for that orb control towards that long side. But on the flip side, Immortals, they still want that Showers control, and you'll see them set up at least a player there to hold on and see if anyone pushes through.
Mata using the drone to get some information around B as members of Luminosity rotate over that way as well. You see a couple of pings coming out. There is a ton of utility again from Neptune. He continues to anchor down this site. There's also plenty of presence around the elbow area. So Immortals are in a really good spot here to fend off this B push. If they decide to go that way, the smoke is going to come out to keep the spawn area blind. Neptune and a Proto are able to get a kill apiece. And now Immortals are starting to come over this way. They still have some presence though. And Neural Theft has been used as Gangsta is able to take care of KZ. Mata still kind of looking around. This has just been so patient from Immortals.
Spikes being planted. Edwig used to clear out the elbow. But it's a 3v4 retake for Immortals. Hunter's Fury as well can be used to try to clear out any specific angles, and that's exactly what we're seeing. But he's paranoid, does finally end up getting tagged by it, but there's one more member, and he tags him too! JC Stanny will pick up some of that slack, take down Stellar, and Immortals now they lead by 6. What a solid round from them in the retake. It was a little bit disadvantageous for Luminosity, but I think you had highlighted it was a slow-moving push that they needed to kind of speed up a little bit more. And once again, giving up some of that elbow control. KZ needed to come out big. There was a 1v2 once he threw down the smoke and he had to come out on the other side. But there's no way he could have known there was 2 players in elbow, right? He just kind of had to hope that he was going to win that challenge.
Right.
And now, Mortals, they're feeling good. 6 rounds is what Luminosity need. It's an uphill battle for them. And once again, they'll try their hand again at some early B site presence.
I really liked how patiently, how calculated Immortals played that chaos that went down on B. But look, again, they have swapped where things are. The Cypher Neptune is going to be over by A this time around, and it's just going to be leaving Gangsta as the main contact point over by B, and he's playing off the site. Meanwhile, over by A, JMO and JC Stanny are able to take care of 2 on the side of Luminosity, just down to meager resources for LG, as the spike just now is getting picked up.
Yes, this is a little bit of a scary sight here for LG. Around, they would have loved to find some sort of redemption arc. That A site too difficult to penetrate. They've been hitting this B site just over and over and over and over and over again. That's not a shock dart that you would have wanted either. Maybe trying to clear out the tuna can. Psych, sorry, I thought he was trying to clear out the cubby, but that's fine. Recon bolt, JMO. Oh, avoids it. And the paint shells, they're at least going to get onto the site, but it was a little bit slow moving at first. Now the spike's going down. Once again, the 4v3, make it a 3v3. They're finally looking for that elbow control, and they find it. It's a 2v2, and Immortals are late to the party.
They are. It's just down to JC Stanny. He's weak, and he's gone from bad to worse. He's eventually going to get cleaned up. Didn't have very many options or health to work with. Luminosity are able to also preserve a couple of ultimates to go into the next round. They've got 4 to work with here, so keep a close eye on that. Obviously can have a drastic implication on how the round plays out. Meanwhile, for Immortals, financially less than ideal circumstances. Neptune is going to bring in the Stinger. You imagine some Spectres across the board for things like Gangsta there at 3,900. He can buy the rifle and armor, but that's it. Opting to go for utility instead and a Sheriff and light armor. So Immortals not going to have a ton of punch to work with here. Luminosity sitting pretty here.
Wow. The fact that a Tailwind was used because of a Sheriff, that is crazy. KZ did not want his head chopped off. Mata will find a flying jet take it down. JMO will sit out the rest of the round. Early on, we saw Immortals 5-stack or 4-stack towards this B site, but have since kind of split up their resources a little bit more. And for the first time in a long time, Luminosity are looking towards the A site. That's unfortunate for JC Stanny. Some of the members will pull off. And at least this presence towards B long hasn't been convincing enough for Immortals. They're going to double back all the way towards the A site, and we're likely going to see not even a retake happen for Immortals. They're going to fight for this site on their eco.
Again, Luminosity pack a heavier punch, and they have plenty of ultimates to work with as well. If Immortals can somehow pull this off, it's going to require Herculean effort. LG creeping their way forward. There's the smoke that's going to be coming out from pipes. Steve goes in. He's paranoid, but it doesn't matter as he continues to play aggressively on dancing with Gangsta. Gangsta finally drops. Neptune does as well. Immortals just down to 1. I mentioned it would require some sort of a deity-type response from Immortals in order to keep them at bay, and, well, they come up just a bit short. Luminosity are able to take the second round in a row.
I'm actually really happy that they didn't use a lot of their ultimates, because now they can kind of save it for a rainy day. And there's a couple of days where I can imagine they want to use it. It's 11-7. They can use it to secure this round if they want. This is the gun round, and Immortals are really hopping deep into their pockets. Op here for JMO, and he's going to be peeking down B long, likely going to find Gangsta. We'll see how the play ends up running out, but Showers control on the opposite side. And once again, Luminosity, early pressure towards B short and found it.
I like that they keep moving Neptune around, this time again playing towards A. Shanks is 1 point away from having that showstopper, so we'll keep a close eye on that. Meanwhile, Luminosity leaning towards Hookah. They've got, or excuse me, Immortals has 3 members on the site, and on the site proper, not playing off-site. They want to fight for control of this. Thief is able to get Stanny early on.
The fact that they don't have a B-long split is actually very beneficial for JMO. I was just about to say that op shot was going to be beautiful. He was able to have a great sightline into Hookah, but LG just burst onto the scene. It's all down to Gangsta, who's a little late to the party. Oh, shock tart kill. That's kind of huge. Can he turn this 1v3 around? There's a player pushing through elbow, but a Proto backs off. Now the spike's going to be planted. They know that he's there. They've definitely heard that shot for sure. And now this 1v3, how expensive can he make this for LG?
He's got a drone. There's a chance, but I like the positioning that Luminosity have taken here. It kind of forces Gangsta to take disadvantageous trades, but somehow Gangsta was able to isolate that one. Gets the second with the jumping classic, but there was not enough gas in the tank to pull off the third. It was dicey at the end, but Luminosity is able to take that round as well.
Have a look at that quick replay, because I ultimately think when Stellar sees Gangsta, Thief should have swung way earlier. Thief should have swung way earlier. Thankfully, a Proto does not let that clutch go through. That's application denied. Try again in a couple of weeks. Immortals down to their eco once again. Luminosity, they're slowly climbing back. After a difficult first half, their attacking side has had some better looks, but this is their first A hit in a while. Immortals on the eco. Pistols stacked, weapons stacked. Let's see if they can hold the line with a couple of ultimates here.
Much like we saw a couple of rounds ago, they've left Gangsta alone over by B and invest heavily towards A. And fortunately for them, that's where the push is coming from. You hear a couple of 100 Furious trades out as Gangsta is able to get 1, but LG with the guns are able to take care of business as they get 3. Gangsta's still alive through all this as Immortals is just down to 2 members left. The spike is going to go down. Shank's still holding down this U-Haul area. They've got a chance here.
1 enemy remaining.
It's all down to Shanks, the newest addition to Immortals. Shock dart to the dome. Definitely going to feel that one in the morning. Luminosity now trailed by 2. This is going to be a round-defining moment for Immortals. They had so much steam, especially after the second half. Then they won the pistol. Then they got that second round conversion. But since then, haven't really been able to hold off the threat of Luminosity on this attacking side. And it's ultimately been that B hit that has just been difficult to keep them at bay. They've tried different looks. Presence to B long, slight hookah presence. Maybe a little bit more hookah presence is required. For Luminosity, once again, it's that early B site presence, but I like that the spike, well, I thought that the spike located over on the opposite side was just going to be like a late round rotate to A. No, they're committed to this, and you see Immortals also answering back, sending maybe 2 members, maybe 2 over towards the B site. They want to hold this if they can.
Again, playing on the site, not necessarily looking for the retakes. They're certainly going to get their chance as the smokes come through to keep information out of Hookah. There's the showstopper, goes a bit wide, but the guns from Thief are exactly what the doctor ordered. Mata's able to get one as well. Thief goes in aggressively, able to take care of JMO. Swings, but Gangsta is on the other side of the smoke and drops him. Immortals down to 2 members left as Luminosity managed to get the spike down. Gangsta from a less than ideal position, but the nice thing, if there is a silver lining here, is that Immortals was pushing in from 2 fronts, but Luminosity, again, are able to take another round. I believe that's 6 in a row or something insane like that. Luminosity have arrived.
5 rounds in a row, and once again, we're back to this eco position for Immortals. It's just been difficult. That B-side hit has been so difficult for Immortals to stop. You know, I think maybe what we can see from Immortals is some sort of buddy system play in Hookah. That's actually what they're setting up right now. Where you try to take out the boombot early, you leave a player in the 50, and you hope that they find some success. See if it does. LG, a little bit more split. Passive play towards the A side, and it might give a little bit more space for Neptune to gather some information. But for the moment, Luminosity is kind of biding their time. They're on the precipice of catching up. They don't really need to risk anything.
Really patient there from Shanks. I don't think he's been spotted either. Very well played to keep that ace in the hole covered up, at least for now. Luminosity are starting to rotate back towards A. We talked about how successful they've been on B. Immortals respond and they adjust. But of course, as they do that, Luminosity pulls a string on them and they're working their way towards A. Immortals are starting to invest a lot as they've sent 3 back towards A. This is still going to be difficult for Immortals to keep up.
I like this position from Neptune. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's got to get out of there, though. He's in a little bit of trouble. The team's coming in from behind. Gangsta. And now we're also seeing the wraparound from Shanks. Mata's got a good spot. Oh, but the Bucky chips him away. Doesn't take off Shanks. But still, 3v3. Paint shells to push him back. JC standing with the crispy sheriff. 1 more member still on the site. That's going to be a great frag there from KZ down to the 2v2. This is a lot closer than anticipated, but the spike still hasn't been picked up. Now it'll be picked up. Guess who's there? Bucky for Shanks. Finds the trade down to the 1v1. Gangsta with the range. And the thrifty round for Immortals. What a setup from the defense.
And as you just heard, that's going to bring them to match point. Immortals hadn't been able to do much of anything really for the last 5 rounds, but in that fashion of all things, that's when they're able to pull it off. That was desperately needed from a momentum perspective. Financially, they're going to have a good bit to work with here as well. JMO is buying all the way down to broke as it looks like we're down to just a few seconds before kicking this bad boy off. Again, Immortals here trying to put Luminosity away on bind.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Back to that B setup. Less Hookah presence this time, which is what the setup looked like. And Immortals, they're fighting for this orb. Now shots are going to start to come through. Mata's traded. There's still a player there. Paranoia comes through. KZ has space to work with. Burst Classic doesn't work. JC Staney finds the frag, but now they're going to start to hop through Hookah. The rest of Immortals need to arrive shortly. But
I love this.
Luminosity are pulling back. LG, Thief, is going to be looking for the cross. Up in here, up in sight. JMO doesn't land the shot, and they'll back away. They'll reset, and we'll see how this A-side hit ends up working out. There's a camera there, there's tripwires there, and there's Gangsta, who proved to be a thorn in the side of Luminosity last round.
Here we go, folks. Luminosity. Not very many options left here on the attacking side. The blast is going to come through. Gangsta's going to be pushed back through U-Haul. He's going to have to retreat to safer space. The Stellar's able to get one. The op out of JMO keeps Luminosity back. Thief drops. The Proto has managed to get a good bit of real estate through U-Haul, and the spike is going to go down at the hands of Stellar. Luminosity don't have as much personnel. If they can get a kill, you can use the neural theft to give away all of the post plans, or yeah, really all the positioning from Immortals, but that's much easier said than done. Immortals still trying to hold things at base. Stellar's able to get one. JC standing with 3 on the round. A Proto tries to hold on, tries to stand strong, but it's the 4K heroics from JC Staney. That's going to give Immortals a 1-map lead.
Solid start here for Immortals, but it's not over yet. This is a best of 3, and there's still 2 more maps in the tank. Immortals clear up bind 13-10. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be throwing to a quick little break, and when we come back, can LG take Haven? You don't want to miss it. We'll find out after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to the VALORANT First Strike UMG Close Qualifiers. What a map, what a map, what a map it was. Look, Luminosity Gaming and Immortals going into it, I favored Immortals, although we knew it was going to be very close. And after that first half, I'm like, man, Immortals is doing it. You know, they are really coming in. They're going hard. Shanks is playing very well. Not to mention, too, I mean, you know, Neptune, first and foremost, opened it up wide, right, with that big 3-piece to start it off. Then they bought the Phantoms. They invested a lot, but they ended up winning that round, going into round number 3 with the Phantoms. And then round number 4, all of a sudden, you know, LG answers back. But it was that shower presence in the first half that was pretty dominating. And it seemed LG just could not have an answer for it. Simo, break it down for me. Let's start with the first half. It was all Immortals, it seemed, as they were leading 8-4 going into the second.
It honestly just felt like both teams couldn't handle each other's pushes. Like LG couldn't really handle the A site push from Immortals, and then on the flip side, Immortals couldn't handle the LG B site hit on their offensive side. But you have to commend how LG tried to play that through, tried to come back, and really, it was close. It was darn near close. But of course, that Thrifty round, I think, was the turning point. If Immortals had not won that one, it would have been a completely different story. I think we might be even still sitting in an overtime right now. But now it's down to Haven, where both teams, I think, have shown that they are relatively hot and cold across the past couple of, 5 to 10 games.
100%, man. Haven is going to be a weird one for me. I was looking at the match history for LG, and it's like, they have some big victories versus, some several talented teams, right? I mean, I look at the top, and, they were able to beat Space Station Gaming, 13-10 on Haven. Equinox, they were able to beat them 13-6. But to Beast Coast. Beast Coast still a very talented team, like without question, right? I mean, a scary team to go against, but they lose 2-13. But then they have a close series versus Mystified called KDA, and they lose 5-13. The point that I'm getting at is LG seems very specifically, they have very narrow victories or they have really severe losses. And I don't know if that worries me or what's going on there. Maybe it's just an off day. Maybe they were just trying something because they just felt comfortable with the series and a team they were going against. But after all, though, I'm just curious if that's going to come into effect. And it's much the same for Immortals on Haven too, but they do seem a little bit more consistent. But at the end of the day, it is LG who picked this map. Doug, we saw a massive comeback, right, on that bind from the boys on LG. That shows a lot of promise that, they can kind of stick it and come in. But Simo did bring up a good point, Doug. It seemed as if both teams just couldn't deal with each other's pushes. How much of an effect do you think that's going to have here going into Haven?
Oh, so much more, right? Especially when you think about the 3 sites that Haven offers and how that adds just an extra thing for teams to consider on the defensive side. C does seem to get hit a lot on Haven, but there's just so many different places that you have to put your attention and your focus on to ensure that nothing is happening under your noses. So I think for both squads, I imagine they're going to have a very strong attacking half. But as you mentioned, Reflections, what I'm looking at is what LG are we going to get here on Haven? Are we going to get the team that stomps or the team that gets stopped? And the thing is, you're one map away from getting eliminated, right? Like, you're one map away from your tournament run being over, from first strike being nothing more than a what could have been. You've got to show up here. You have to.
No, without question, you have to, right? I mean, this is the reality of it. When you win map number 1, you can breathe a sigh of relief because you have, first and foremost, the ability to be able to 2-0 and have a quick series. Or more importantly, if worst case scenario, I guess you could say, is go into game number 3 and still stay alive, right? And just kind of chalk it up and then come back to square one. Simo, right before we get into the map, A Proto had, you called him out for very good reason for LG. He had so many pop-off moments where he was just performing well. That 4K, by the way, next to Showers just beautiful. Okay, and then he also had moments ahead for the boys of Immortals, though. Neptune, JC Stanley, that first half they played so well, and I think consistently throughout. Super curious to see how that's going to play into effect. I'm actually going to hop off and let you guys discuss as to who's really going to be who we're looking out for. But overall, this is going to be an important map, as you said, Doug. Look, LG, they need to step it up. This has to be their map, and they need to force a game number 3. I'm going to hop off, boys. Take it away for map 2.
Thank you, Reflections. Yeah, Timo, I think one of the things that he was kind of highlighting there that I did want to talk about is it really felt like a complete effort from Immortals. It wasn't Shanks who was absolutely popping off and carrying the team. It was JC Stanley who had big moments. It was Neptune who had big moments. It really did feel like a collaborative effort there for Immortals.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm going to be super paying attention to, especially since Immortals are starting off on the defensive side, is how the anchors look for Neptune and JC Stanley. Already an opening pick for Shanks. That's definitely a great way to start, but it's a quick rush onto this B site. They've got control, but for how long?
JC Stanley back in Gong. He's going to get cleaned up at the hands of Thief as KZ gets in on some as well. But Shanks continuing to light up the kill feed as JMO joins in on the action. Luminosity just down to 2 members left. It was a heavy B hit, and so far nothing is certain. Shanks kind of creeping his way around. They see the spike has been planted. The drone's there. Thief, oh my gosh, Thief already has 3. He's going to back off to safety. Has plenty of health to work with as well. He's got more to work with. Looking for the 4th. Not going to get any of it. Gangsta holds strong, as does the rest of Immortals, and they're going to take a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, it definitely helped to start off with an opening pick on towards that A sewer side. Shanks peeking aggressively. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight before this round kind of slipped away from my own verbiage is how, see, Haven, to some extent, feels like who can hit C the hardest on their attacking half. On eco rounds, you tend to kind of opt in for the B hit because it can be fast, it can be dirty, and most teams don't kind of expect it. You kind of decide whether or not you want to have courtyard presence or not, depending on how you set up the angle. But Neptune and JC Standing were a huge problem on the defensive end for T1, as they were able to hold down that C plat area and just be the anchors that Immortals needed them to be, and then ultimately winning a 4v5 to kind of top things all off. This is a great map for Immortals, and I think Luminosity really need to start hot off the presses. It doesn't help that the pistol was lost, but they have another shot at redemption here.
Yeah, it does not look like Luminosity bought up or forced anything. I saw a Sheriff in the hands of a couple of members, but it looks like they're going to try to hit this B site again. A couple smokes go out, the Leer to blind things and keep things at bay, and kills are actually being traded. LG have managed to work their way on here. Immortals is going to have to fight for the retake.
That's why this B hit is so fast and dirty, but we're going to see Neptune come in with the Stinger. They'll trade things out, and now it's down to the 2v2. Spike is in a tough spot. We've got Luminosity pinching from both ends. You're seeing JMO double back. Prado's looking towards the courtyard. This is a tough spot, and we have no idea how Immortals are thinking about playing this round out. They're going to try to stick together. And there's strength in numbers. Prado slowly moving forward. There's an angle. It's spotted out by JMO and partnered up, and now down to Stellar, who's found himself in Ares somehow, some way. He'll upgrade that one off the floor, but this has already become a lot closer than Immortals would bargain for. 20 seconds left on the clock. Not a lot of time to get that spike planted, and JMO with the swing, and even if he falls there, guess who was right there behind him? It was Neptune. So 2-0 start here for Immortals. Definitely a tough force up here. They'll probably likely look to force up again. But wait, did LG force up that round? I think they did. I wasn't paying too close attention, but I think they did, and it didn't work out. So now they're going to likely bleed another one here too.
Four Sheriffs and a Ghost. As it looks like, yes, they did indeed force. I apologize, I missed that in the call. But either way, Luminosity here rolled the die, and the gamble did not pay off, as, again, they're just going to have pistols to work with. JMO's going to get pushed back with the Paranoia. Shanks and JC Stanley were able to get the two opening frags on the round, however, as Luminosity's just down to 3.
I have a feeling we're going to be looking at the sewers a lot. And not because that's where Immortals belong, but it's because where they've got most of the domination. They had that first early pick in round 1 for Shanks, and now the second one. I know it's the eco for Luminosity, but let's pay closer attention to how often JMO and Shanks double peek sewers, because we might find more than we bargained for. At the moment, we're not going to see that this round. JMO's still going to double peek with Gangsta towards that long side. Still some form of A presence, but I'd imagine that's going to be just as deadly in a couple of rounds from now.
A pretty standard setup there on a long. You'll have the Sova pop out and hit that dart towards the back of the site, and JMO's there to help as well. Good cage to kind of deny any sort of information or any initial pick potential from JMO. Meanwhile, Luminosity still kind of mulling things over. At this point, I feel like with Haven, we've seen so many times that surely we've seen 2 or 3 heavy C hits from the attacking side at this point. But that has not been the case, as Luminosity hasn't looked over there at all.
I like how Immortals have played this early round. They use Hedwig to clear out the sewers, so they know that nobody's crossing, even if there might have been a cyber cage there or some sort of, maybe somebody snuck past when JMO wasn't looking. But now he's got a great angle. He's got the op. Owl drone comes through. It's likely not going to look towards that angle. Oh, sees JMO, tags him, so he's got to give up that angle. So now Immortals have some sort of understanding that there might be a heavy push towards this A site. They initially banked, especially on that early information, that it was going to be some sort of garage split hit, especially with that early orb control. But Luminosity really just biding their time. They're going to do a fast and dirty hit in the late round, and they may not get the spike down in time.
Left.
We really have to pay attention with 30 seconds left on the clock.
The difficult thing for Immortals really is that the other 2 members are so far away that they really have no choice but to kind of in a lot of ways, give up a little bit of room and potentially fight for the retake. But of course, as I say that, JC Staney goes down. Immortals just rips them to shreds. The defense holds strong. There was no need for the other members of Immortals as they hold fast and take a 4-0 lead over Immortals, or over Luminosity.
I like JC Staney rotating as well from that B site, but Gangsta, man, he had a great angle. They also didn't really divide and conquer for Luminosity. They didn't send anybody up through the sewers. They just kind of sent most of their army up through Banana, and unfortunately it was rotten. Now Immortals, they'll lead by 4. Eco here for Luminosity. Not a great start to this attacking side, which is ultimately where you would want to see the most success on Haven. Ultimately, for the past kind of open and closed qualifier, we've seen this map be a little bit more even 50-50, but teams do tend to prefer the attack.
Well, so far Immortals has done just fine on the defending side, and Luminosity are once again left searching for answers. It really just goes against everything that we expected going into this map. We thought the attacking side, because of what we saw on Bind, was going to be stronger for both of these squads, but Immortals have performed very admirably so far on the defense. Luminosity have managed to establish some presence and get some room up around Garage, but Neptune's there. He's able to get a second. KZ kept it interesting, but he eventually drops.
Yeah, I'm going to want that weapon. Thank you very much. Wait, where is it? Wait, what? Where's... Oh, it drops back here. Now he's got himself an upgrade. 3v4. Neptune holds the Garage line temporarily, but the fact that Immortals have committed a lot of their resources over here. Initially, the B site hit was what Luminosity wanted. Oh, will they split through Link?
Oh, I love this.
It might. Nope, they don't have enough info. That's fair. They don't have enough info. Stellar getting behind Gong. Prado going to play close. And now Immortals are going to do their homework. Hedwig going to clear out the Garage. And the rest of the team 4 stacking through that Link choke point. This is going to be a tough push. Let's see how it works out.
It is going to be a tough push. Stellar with the paranoia. My gosh, that hit a couple of members, but it doesn't matter. Immortals are able to keep Luminosity at bay. It's just one member left. It's Mata. He's got a Sheriff, but he doesn't have a whole lot else to work with. The defuse is surely going to go through here. Yeah, it drops. JMO gets the kill to add insult to injury. Immortals taking a big lead here on the defending side, Simo.
Yeah, this is scary. If you're a Luminosity fan like Veli is, you're definitely sweating a couple of buckets. And Luminosity might need those buckets to put out the fire that is currently this 5-0 start for Immortals. It's the gun round for them. An opportunity at redemption once again. Looking at the defensive setup for Immortals. A little bit more presence towards that A site. It's something that I had anticipated. Yep, JMO and Shanks are both there. Both prepared. The Luminosity want that orb control to start the round. Let's see if they get an ultimate from it. Or if they just try to start to develop some sort of ultimate. They get the control, and you will use this owl drone to push up onto the seaside. JC Staney and Neptune, you got to hold the line here.
Hey, you hear the Hunter Fury has been used as KZ dashes onto the site. Neptune is out for the rest of the round. Not drops at the hands of Staney. Now the members of Immortals are starting to arrive onto the site, but they're going to get there a bit too late as the spike is going to go down. We've been waiting for this C hit, and so far things looking good for Luminosity.
2v2 retake. Both Shanks and JMO. I like the smoke towards that Garage side. If they find this pick onto Stellar, that means at the flank, though, you got to be careful. Yeah, you put the smoke down. Wait, are you concerned about this player? JMO with the 180. The Tony Hawk Ollie. Pop, shove it right in to Luminosity's hands. 6-0 start for Immortals. And JMO gets himself an ult point, 2 away from the Blade Storm. What a start. What a start here. 6-0. When are Luminosity going to finally break through? That C hit wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. But like I had said in the beginning, JC, Stanny, and Neptune just are so good at holding down that site.
And I think to kind of highlight a bit more of the difficulties that Luminosity have had, both KZ, Stellar, and Mata are yet to get a kill in the map. I think, again, just a testament to how difficult of treading it's been for them. Immortals have been stalwart in their defenses. They haven't let anything pass them, really anything in. The closest thing we've seen to success was really that C push. It was good, but it just wasn't there. LG working their way up A. Oh, I love his positioning, but oh, the peak was there. KZ gets on the board, a big kill onto Shanks.
Gangsta really wanted to help Shanks there, but unfortunately he had to worry about the sewers push as well. But they actually trade. Op shot from JMO. Immortals have committed a lot of resources over towards this A site. And a Proto is actually going to stick around to make sure that he causes a little bit more noise. Luminosity starting their rotates over. They back away. They might be looking towards this B site. But now there's a smoke layered on another smoke. And they'll be working their way through the garage. There's a camera, a deep camera from Immortals. Neptune, once again, I am asking for your defense.
It's gonna have to happen towards A, as it looks like that's where the spike is headed back to. JMO's gonna be there with an operator. You mentioned earlier on that it was a Proto who was sticking around. Sure, there wasn't going to be anyone on the flank. Enough info, or well, the lack of presence was enough info for them to suggest that this might be okay. There was nobody coming around. You see the smokes go off to heaven, but JMO's down low as he takes care of KZ. He's going to get paranoid, but uses the blade storm, goes up just a bit. But Stellar's able to pull him back down. JC standing up from heaven, drops to his death as well, as Immortals are starting to fall apart. Simo, there's just one left, and it's Neptune. I don't know that he has a play here.
Neptune. I was asking for your defense early on. Now I'm asking for your offense, but it's not to be. Luminosity, stop the bleeding. 6 rounds in. And of course, Immortals have more cash in the bank than they know what to do with. Another operator for JMO. Gangsta had a good angle to stop the... I think that's ultimately what sold the hit so strongly for Luminosity. JMO couldn't participate, then the Blade Storm came out. If he finds a pick there, then maybe, but not as successful as imagine he would have hoped to be. But, I mean, Immortals have already started off incredibly hot. They can afford to lose around here or there. It's bound to happen eventually. Can LG do it again? That is the bigger question.
Oh, a ton of utility being used around A. You saw smokes, blinds, the dart as well to get some info. KZ checking that corner. Where Shanks was before, this time nobody's home. That operator in the hands of Immortals is actually going to be holding down B. As we've seen, seems like they're definitely going to want to go to A here. You see the ult has been used. He pops up, gets some info, realizes there's no one up in heaven, and backs off. But Immortals, oh my gosh, they mow Luminosity down yet again. There's just one left on the side of them. Wow. It's Stellar. He's going to drop a flawless round. The spike was in a terrible spot, too, after all the chaos ensued. Immortals continue to pile it on the defensive side.
Yeah, Thief needed to find a lot of value out of that Empress. If he finds a pick, he goes invisible, he gets deeper information. But they were able to shoot it down quickly. I would have loved to see maybe a Paranoia instead to set that up, because there's a lot of players, well, with what we know, we're setting up around the sewer side defense as opposed to the banana side defense. So, and that is, you know, a patented Moon Raccoon hit. You know, the Paranoia that left side, and they rush in. Regardless, instead of TPing in or gathering that information, a Paranoia, I think, would have been a little bit more useful there. But that is also very useful. An aggressive push-up mid. We weren't really talking about the defensive setup, but now we can. Passive play from Immortals towards the A site. Decide to take a trip down memory lane to the courtyard and find great success. And now the reposition from Shanks. This could be huge, but he's got to get out of there as Luminosity are coming knocking on the doors.
And I love how Immortals played that as well. This is exactly what I wanted to talk about. It wasn't just Shanks going aggressive. JMO had his cover through window and through the rest of courtyard if they swung around. He's still there, able to get one, looking for the second, just narrowly missing. The Classic isn't able to do the job either. He's going to have to back off with 40 health, but the reinforcements, the cavalry from Immortals, has arrived. JC Stanley's able to take care of one. They still have all, well, of course, as I say that, he dies. They still have presence. They still have personnel advantage, and Stellar's just ripped to shreds.
Eight to 1, 3 rounds remaining. That was the eco for Luminosity. This is a turning point for them. This round can decide if they're going to slam dunk this one 8-4. But if I'm going to be honest with you, Immortals have more than enough economy to carry themselves through for the remaining 3 rounds. Luminosity have to get through 3 gun rounds up against Immortals, because even if they close this one out, There's a lot of loss bonus that'll come in for Immortals as the rounds will continue to lay on. But early looks, we're finally seeing that aggression from Immortals towards that sewer side. Op shot does not connect onto Luminosity, and it's going to be the garage split. They're going to push through. Alodrone spots the tripwire. Once again, Neptune and JC Stanny, can you defend this push in?
Yeah, and what I loved about Immortals was they just got the heck out, right? They pushed up sewers, excuse me, weren't able to get anything, and then you started to see them rotate over. They've returned to A since, but I like how they've been moving those two players around. It keeps Luminosity on their toes. They don't know what's safe. And if it's not them, it's JC Stanny. This time in Garage, Neptune's there with the sucker punch as well. They've just been impenetrable on the defending side, ladies and gentlemen. The neural theft is going to give away everything as well. All of the information, no element of surprise for Luminosity. Immortals have them exactly where they want them.
Yeah, great cover there from Neptune and JC Stanny. That's why I had highlighted at the beginning that their defense on the C side is just so great. Communication, the way that they work together. Luminosity just C hit, which to be fair, we haven't seen a lot of the C hit. They always end up at A somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be the B side this time. Paranoia right side, clearing that a potential angle from JMO. Let's see where they get this spike down. That's the most interesting thing. It's a very interesting spot. They're not going to play for Courtyard. They're going to play for site. Let's see if this works out for LG.
Yeah, Stellar has taken this back on area a number of different times, but he's just not going to be a factor. My goodness. Immortals can seem to do no wrong. Here, as Luminosity just haven't been able to get anything going on the attacking side. This is one of the most impressive performances I've seen on the defending side in Haven in a very long time.
9-1. Scary sight if you're a Luminosity fan. There's a possibility that this one finishes up 11-1. And Immortals have just been so good at holding the line, holding the defense. Whatever setup Luminosity throw at them, they defend. Looking at the setup here for Immortals, JMO for the first time in the garage, as JC Stanny will hold the B site. It's going to be a double peek from Shanks and Gangsta, and they'll find a little bit of value as there are members pushing in. Spray through doesn't find much success, but they'll back away and maybe anticipate some sewers play from Luminosity.
They were anticipating the sewers play, and you see the drone has been used there to kind of clear that out. If it wraps all the way around, there may be the opportunity to spot. I don't know that they did, but look at Shanks. Shanks is pushing his way into showers, or into sewers. I apologize, but he's got a really good spot here to make something happen. On the flip side, this is a huge kill. If Luminosity are able to get him, they've got some room, but no, Shanks is able to get the best of Thief as that Reyna on Reyna goes in favor of Immortals.
Now, in the Cubby 50, the rest of Immortals need to start to rotate over. JMO still holding that C alongside. It could be the fake, but it doesn't feel like Luminosity have ever sold a fake. When they want to hit the A site, they do. Now the members are starting to file in. A Proto's leading. They traded away one after another. A Proto down to the 2v3. Shanks down in hell, and that's exactly where he's going to do some of that damage. JMO swinging from yellow, and Immortals up by 9. What a second map here. I don't really think we were going to anticipate such a dominating performance from Immortals, especially understanding that both teams slightly hot and cold on this map, just based on the prior results. But now look where we're at. Shanks buying an Odin. It's almost as if he's just like trolling now. Like he doesn't. No, I'm just kidding. Odin, he's probably going to be looking to spray through the garage, through the courtyard window. But nevertheless, look at just how dominant Immortals have been. They can afford to have fun if they want. 10-1, it's crazy.
I mean, Luminosity have not found any room to work with, as it seems like Immortals has just been a step ahead of them every single round. This time, Luminosity working their way up middle. Ben, as you were mentioning, the Odin was there, and that's exactly where it was focused. So again, just emphasizing how well Immortals have played this. They've been ahead of Luminosity every step of the way. It looks like they're going to try to commit onto this site, and of course, a couple of members of Luminosity have already dropped. Shanks with the Empress goes in a bit aggressive. He's able to get one member left. They know where he is. Stellar is able to get that, but it's still a 1v4.
Wow. This pistol,
Switching sides.
Luminosity, listen, you got to have a pep talk. You got to take a tack pause right here. That's what you got to do. Luminosity, you have to tack pause here. What is the greasiest pistol strat you have? Give it to us. That's what you need to climb out of this hole that has currently been dug by Immortals for you. 11-1. You lose this. It's your favorite restaurant dish, pasta alla GG, and that's not exactly what Luminosity want to be eating after this one. Immortals. 4 stack towards the A site. We only have KZ prepared to defend this Immortals line. Will he survive? We're about to find out.
And again, KZ and Mata, a combined 1 in 24 on the first half. Just a really brutal performance there. We'll see if they're able to fare better, excuse me, on the defending side. You see Immortals have already established heavy A control. They work their way up long, they work their way up short. Where the spike is coming, Luminosity are going to have to fight for this retake because Immortals are already there.
Have to have a look at that flank. Pay attention to the minimap, folks. We've got Mata coming in from the back. Gangsta will stop the flank. So will JC Standy. Oh, there he is. Shot's good. Mata opening up that flank, and Gangsta's been smoked off. So now this is a beautiful retake for Luminosity, but it's going sour. 2v2 down to 1. Shanks pops, locks, and drops it. Immortals at series point. Immortals at map point. Immortals 1 step closer to qualifying for the first strike major.
And I was curious to see how LG would play this as far as finances go, right? Like, this is it. I understand they didn't have a ton of work with to begin with, but they're bringing in, I guess, they've got a Stinger, and they're going to bring in a Marshall as well and some armor across the board. But it's terrifying to think that Immortals is bringing full rifles into this. On the attacking side early on, they got what they wanted, at least in that pistol. The defense from Luminosity has to be perfect just to get to overtime.
Perfect is what we have to ask for from Luminosity, but Immortals have been playing nearly perfect on the opposite side. Hedwig used to clear out the push. A Proto with a crispy headshot. He needs a couple more of those with the Sheriff. They've managed to get onto the site. Recon bolt, Mata from the side. Now this is working out. That's answered back up Proto. Okay, down to 1. It's JMO in a 1v3. Has the Phantom in tow. Shot's gonna be good. One more player to the right. Shot's gonna be good onto him. Down to the last player, but KZ keeps Luminosity alive.
Jeez, and JMO almost did it, right? He isolated that down to a 1v1 at the very end and almost pulls that off. A 23-3 performance. He's been out of control this entire map, but for LG, they needed that one, and they did so with Sheriffs and a little bit of a mixed bag otherwise. Now, Immortals is going to have nothing but pistols to work with. LG is going to be able to come into this round from a position of power. Rifles, and the one exception being Stellar with the Spectre across the board. They've got a good bit of utility hanging out over towards C, but JMO and the rest of Immortals are pushing right in to the defenses of Luminosity on the A side. JMO not able to connect onto one quite yet with the Bladestorm, but they're going to continue to funnel their way in. You see the Paranoia come through. Not going to connect onto anyone. Oh my gosh, Immortals. Immortals goes up close and personal. JMO with the Bladestorm dropping down to a Proto. You've got to do it. A Defense of the Alamo type effort is going to be required here to keep the map alive, to keep your tournament hopes alive. He's able to get 1 as he drops Shanks, but he's taken so much damage already, just down to 46 health. They know exactly where he is. This is really an impossible ask. He's going to drop, ladies and gentlemen, a statement made by Immortals as they punch their ticket to first strike.
Was I watching StarCraft there? What a Zerg rush from Immortals. Just hold that W key and find the W yourselves. A 2-0 sweep for the boys in green. A Cinderella story considering the circumstances of their match against T1 yesterday, and then climbing back against Dignitas, down 1 in the series and bringing Shanks back. Reflections will bring you back into the fray. What a match. Did not expect that from Luminosity to go down like that against Immortals.
You know, hot and cold. Again, you know, I talked about those devastating losses that LG had suffered to teams they shouldn't have been losing to. Now, granted, Immortals is a very dominant team, right? But, I mean, you know, it fits in line with, you know, like I said, LG is either very, very close when it comes to Haven, or it's just a massive blowout, right? I've already looked at their list, and they have, you know, 13-3 losses, 13-5 losses, and in this case, well, 13-2. There's not a lot of good to say, right? I'm not going to sit here and pick them apart because it is what it is. You know, 13-2 is already devastating as it is, right? But with that being said, you know, you had a couple of key players that just didn't pull up, right? Mata, you know, KZ, surprisingly, actually didn't play very well. Stellar, too. It just, you know, the defensive holds, first and foremost, from the boys on Immortals was just devastating. I mean, there was literally nothing, and I mean nothing LG could do right. There was nothing Immortals could do wrong, Simo.
Yeah, you know, I had highlighted at the beginning of the match that Neptune and JC Stanley were going to do a great job of holding down the C site. Well, Luminosity never went there. They never needed to for some reason. They wanted to hit that A site over and over again, and Gangsta and JMO did a great job of consistently holding down the defense. When you find multi-kills after multi-kills, round after round, and all the rest of your team need to do is pick up some of the scraps, it's easy picking. It makes a lot of sense why that was such an easy map for Immortals. But I'm just a little bit shocked at how easy it was. I expected a little bit more life from Luminosity.
Well, and I
Doug,
think just I want to pile on here a little bit. Pile on, probably not the best way to describe what I wanted to say there, given what we just saw. But even if Luminosity was insane on the second half, right? Like, even if that was their best half, their best map, they had all of the strats, they had everything they wanted, even if they were the best team in the world on that side, the deficit that they found themselves in going into halftime was just absurd, right? Like, you dig yourself a hole that deep, you have to play perfect Valorant. Again, just to get to any sort of a competitive situation to maybe get to overtime, the deficit was just too great.
Look, you had a couple of well, you had one player specifically who had no kills going into the second half with an 11-1 deficit. Like, that is truly devastating. The first kill came off the flank. I mean, I don't need to say the names, but the point is, you know, it just wasn't obviously what LG wanted. I think everybody out there can feel the same way. But look, let's point it out, all right? You know, Luminosity, a devastating loss, 13-2. They do lose 2-0 to Immortals. I think, you know, a lot of people were backing Immortals. Overall, though, still, for LG, hold your heads up high, because, you know, you did make it this far. It's an impressive feat. I mean, look, there were hundreds of teams that wanted to be in this position, right? To even have a chance to potentially make it into regional finals. Yes, they finish off in a way they didn't want to finish off in. However, they still made it this far, and it shows promise for their future. Overall, I'm happy with their run, I think, throughout. They had a lot of surprises. But again, you know, let me highlight Immortals, by the way. Shout out to Shanks, man. Shanks came in, the ringer, right? And he performed so well, Simo.
Sorry, do you mind repeating? Did you ask me? Sorry, listen. Production was in my ear, and I was like, you know, I was listening to one or the other.
Sometimes the voice in our head's the producer, you know, he just kind of talks over. It's okay. Hey, look, check it out, Simo. Shanks, he filled in. Dude, he performed so well, man. I mean, the ringer, he came in out of nowhere, and he excelled.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you asked that question, because I want to throw a question back into just the universe, you know, into the space. Like, does he get picked up as a sub? Like, what happens to him now? Because I'd imagine there's a world where Shot Up gets better by the time, or, you know, whatever circumstance he has, he gets better by that moment, by the 3rd or the 6th of December. Like, what happens then? How does that, you know, change the team dynamic? Does Shanks even find himself on a new roster? Because he obviously showed up when Immortals needed him to. He could have been like a breach main, and he could have just fallen flat on his face, but he was the duelist. He was exactly what Immortals needed him to do, and boy, did he perform. And he worked well with the team. Like, the dynamic was great to watch. Yeah, against T1, there's a couple of flubs, but he's a stand-in. What are you going to expect? Like a crazy performance out of him? He performed exactly and light years beyond what he was expected to do.
I mean, Doug, look, he filled in. And even like you said, you know, Simo pointed out the T1 match. That went to game 3. It was so incredibly close. It's easy to highlight Shanks, right? But for the other members of Immortals, who really impressed you during this series?
Oh my gosh, I feel like it was everybody down that list had a highlight performance, right? If it wasn't JC Stanley on the Omen, you know, we talked about Gangsta a good bit as well. Neptune played so well. Throughout the entire series, he didn't really get a chance to show much on the defensive side on C, but everybody across the board, it felt like a highlight. Everyone had a highlight reel moment. Everyone had a big impact play that continued to define the series. Yes, it is easy to talk about Shanks, but I'm really impressed with that roster as a whole, how they've rallied around, given the circumstances, given how they dealt with the entirely unexpected drop of shot up yesterday, and were able to do this, right? This wasn't you go to map 3, you get into overtime, you kind of squeak by, but you take a deep breath because at least you won. They dominated Luminosity.
Yeah. And that's a scary thought, right? To think whoever plays them on Haven is now going to have to deal with this. And hopefully they're doing their VOD review. Again, just to highlight before we go into our champs bracket and take a look at that, you know, JC Stanley, first and foremost, really stepped it up yesterday. We didn't get to watch it on stream. It was being done by, you know, Castaways. You know, obviously GG's to them. They did a phenomenal job. But JC Stanley really stepped it up in that match in loser bracket to obviously make it here today. But, you know, even today, Neptune really impressed me. I mean, he was just performing so well anytime that we had an opportunity to watch him. This roster looks scary, and whoever has to play them tomorrow is going to have their hands full. Speaking of which, let's actually look at our champs bracket, which will be tomorrow. Look, it's going to be a fun day given the fact that, you know, a lot of the pressure has been alleviated, right? So tomorrow it's going to come down to just who wants it more, who wants to be in grand finals and take the whole enchilada. So let's start off on top, Immortals versus TSM. I start off with Simo all the time. Doug, I'm going to pass it over to you. Let's talk about this one. Who do you think looks the strongest?
Listen, I know chat during the Moon Raccoons match was calling me reformed Simo, and I appreciate that, but I think I got to double back. I got to put the TSM hat back on. TSM have got that one easy peasy lemon squeezy. Should be business as usual for the boys in the black and white.
All right, Doug, what about you? What are you thinking about that bottom bracket match? FaZe versus T1.
Oh man, that one's going to be spicy. I like T1, though. I think that they have shown throughout really the last 2 tournaments that they can play the game. They play the game very intelligently, right? Like the way they position around the map, the utility usage that they use to cover each other and make calculated, smart plays, right? And then we talk about Spider and the Duelist and whether or not that can add more of a wrinkle. They 2-0'd Cloud9, right? Like, still hasn't really hit me.
Yeah.
That there are teams like Cloud9, teams like Gen G, who we're not going to be talking about at the beginning of December. I think, again, I say that just to reinforce how strong I think T1 is here. FaZe are really freaking good as well. But if I had to lean, at least early on, without giving full predictions, I'm leaning towards T1 there.
And again, you know, just to shout out the teams that you just said, I'll give the full rundown. Obviously, you know, LG, you know, Moon Raccoons, Gen G, Cloud9 Blue, teams that, you know, did such a heroic effort whenever it came to trying to make it into the regional finals. They do fall short. However, they gave it a valiant effort. And again, they are still some of the best teams in the world that you have to be looking out for, and their future is still looking bright. I can't wait to see who picks up Moon Raccoons, because honestly, any org would be a fool not to pick them up at this point in time.
Oh, yeah.
They just have such a promising future. Simo, I know if you had the bankroll, you would pick them up and start representing them. Have no idea if you would even rebrand them, because you're such a huge fan of the Moon Raccoon, just logo as well as just the branding in general. Hey, let's look at our schedule before we get out of here. That's going to be taking place tomorrow. We're going to be starting off with T1 versus FaZe. We'll then transfer into TSM versus Immortals. And of course, the winners will move down into grand finals for match number 3 to finish off the VALORANT First Strike UMG closed qualifiers. Boys, it's been an exciting day. Again, a lot of hearts were broken, but a lot of hearts were made as, you know, these teams who did make it through, you know, did a good job. Immortals, TSM, FaZe, as well as T1. Before we get out of here, I'm going to let you guys put in your last and final words. Simo, what do you got to say?
Listen, I know that there's going to be a lot of pro players probably memeing about tomorrow, you know, NA seeding, whatever, KEKW, but I think tomorrow is just a good opportunity for teams to let loose, try out new strats if they want to. Kind of push through. You know, it's kind of like I don't want to call it a glorified scrim, but there's just an opportunity for teams to just try out new things because they've qualified. They can celebrate to a certain extent and kind of let their hair down to a certain degree. So I'm just expecting some fun matches tomorrow. FaZe Clan are a fun team to watch. TSM are a fun team to watch, and I expect both series to just be an absolute treat for fans alike to digest.
And Doug, what about you? How you feeling? What are your final words?
I think a lot of I know I alluded to this earlier. There are a lot of really good teams that did not make it today, and that's insane to think about. But as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, I think I touched on this a bit yesterday. This is the beauty of an open style event like this. For the vast majority of the Valorant life cycle, we've been talking about invitationals and which teams are going to get in. And after early performances, we kind of started ranking out who some of the best teams are. And while by and large, that has been true, right? The beautiful nature about an open event like this is that it allows upsets. It allows things like what we've seen today. And the thing is, there's no room for lackadaisical play there. You've got to be at your best because there are hundreds of teams that are gunning for your spot. So while, you know, we can have conversations about what teams are missing, I firmly believe that given the last month, we've got the best 8 teams in North America that are going to be playing in December, and I could not be more excited.
Without question, right? It's been the gauntlet. You know, hey, these teams have been going through it. They've been playing every team out there who's been aspiring to make it there. And for those 8 teams that do make it, or at least have made it, excuse me, already, check it out. It is going to be a powerful, powerful event. Look, all good things must come to an end, at least for today it does. It was a great day having all of you guys out there, whatever platform you're on. Please hit that follow button wherever you're watching, even if you're watching some of those co-streams. Hey, give support and love to those people out there who are supporting the Valorant scene. But when it comes down to all the talent as well as production, of course, Vancillion Bach just a little bit earlier here, Esports Doug Simo, myself, Taylor Reflections Noble, our production team, and you out there in the chat. We loved having you, and I cannot wait to see you once again tomorrow for the Valorant First Strike UMG Close Qualifiers Championship Bracket. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you then.